Ladies and gentlemen, this is yours truly. Hashtag the professional SGL coming at you live from Fort Lee, Virginia with a special edition of Ncopd Live. So before we even get started, just an opening statement that I would like to say to all of the many people that are willing to come on to Ncopd Live. The link is in the comments. We will continue to post the link in the comments. I ask once again, that we need professional dialogue, not griping and complaining. This is to talk about some of the issues that we are seeing in our armed forces and our military, uh, racism and some sharp issues, and people feeling uncomfortable to go and speak to their leadership about certain things that are going on in our formation. So this is not an official government page. However, we are going to discuss our professional views about some of the things that we have. And so with me today, I have Coach K and Master Green. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and have their opening statements. Coach K.
Hey, you guys, I just want, I'm first of all thankful to just be on here and to be able to give my insight or just share whatever comes out of this. I want to encourage everyone that if you do have something to say, like even if you think people may not agree, this is what we want to encourage you to just kind of share. Even if you have to come on anonymously to share your insight or your opinion, we are mature enough and we're professional enough to listen to what you have to say and allow you to have that opinion. So I just want to encourage everyone to voice those things that you want to say in a professional and a tactful way, and let's deal with it because this is our army.
Hey world, what's going on? Richard Green here. So what I would like to say is this. We are in a very special time. We have technology at our fingertips. And when we use said technology in a manner that provides an environment for people to grow in, it's great. What am I getting at by saying this? What I'm saying is this. We have to be able to use all of these platforms that we have in a positive manner, like the professional SGL and Coach K just said. So this is an opportunity for you to come out, use your voice, be heard in a constructive way that can actually feed change.
Yeah.
All right. We don't have to do anything crazy. We don't have to call anybody out. We don't have to do any of that stuff because right now, as Dave Chappelle like to say, the streets are talking. All right. So let's just come out. Let's be professionals. Put that good input in because people are listening and they want to hear what we got to say. All right, professional SGL, you got it.
So before I get started, so my phone has been going off since I posted that video yesterday, and I want to say this. First of all, special shout out to the staff sergeant from Antarctica. I did not even know we had troops in Antarctica, and this individual is watching right now with his soldiers. So I definitely want to shout out. I can't pronounce your name. I don't want to. I don't want to jack it up, but definitely want to shout out that staff sergeant that's down in Antarctica that is watching, and all of the people that are watching all over the globe right now. The link is in the comments. Now, when you come on the link, it's going to ask you to allow your camera and your microphone to be available. If you choose to be anonymous and you click that you don't want your camera to be viewed and you just want your audio to be viewed, you have that right. Nobody is going to. I don't want nobody to have any fear of reprisal, any fear of retaliation. That is not what this is about. So, without further ado, the link is posted. We're going to continue to post it in the comments. I will say this: this is not just directed at Fort Hood. Let's get past that. Fort Hood is just what's under the microscope right now because of the things that are going on there. But I don't want anybody to be just lashing out at one particular unit. We're talking about how to fix this thing as an entire army. Yeah, that may be going on at Fort Hood, but somebody may be dealing with something in Germany or in Fort Bragg, something that's going on about their unit. So we have our first caller. We're going to put you on the mic. Okay, well, he or she'll come back. So just to know once again that this is not, I say again, this is not to bash any particular unit, any particular person. We just want you guys to come on and give honest and open, constructive feedback of what's going on out in these units, and hopefully we can have a professional discussion that we can inflict some change, or our voices can be heard, and some things can be set in the motion. Now, like my brother said, things are not going to happen overnight, so we need everybody to understand that. But we do have a voice that can be heard, and we have our first caller. Welcome to the show. How you doing? Let me unmute your mic. Dove, you have to unmute your mic. Dove, can you hear us? Okay, he'll come back. So now we have Sergeant Glasper.
Hey, what's going on, man? Long time listener. So honestly, one of the issues that I find, I'm gonna talk about the SHARP program, and I think one of the issues is that it's just become a check the box, right? Hey, so yearly, I did the class, right? As a commander, my people did the class, man. Let's move on about it. But I think what we need to do is just get back, just get to a culture to where we take it seriously. And I understand that we're not senior commands, and that's what a lot of people talk about. But what we need to keep in mind is NCOs, we can control the people that we're around, right? So it starts off as something small. Oh, hey, that's what she said. Ha ha ha, and everybody laughs. But if you step up and you stop it right there, hey man, we don't do that in this squad. You know, if you're a squad leader, stop it at that squad. You're a platoon leader, you stop it at that platoon. You're a first sergeant, you stop it in your company, in your battalion, in your brigade, to let them know that, hey, we're not going to do that. We're not going to accept that here. And I think just starting small and controlling what you can control will allow you to go a lot farther, and it'll allow to start making the change so that people can see that, hey, that we're not going to allow this in our Army today. And that's all I have on that. So I appreciate that for letting me know.
Mr. Green.
Hey, I totally agree with him. Like Sergeant Major Griffin always says, you know, you got to control your piece of pie. And I think there is a responsibility that we have as soldiers. And you notice I didn't say NCOs, I didn't say officers, I didn't say enlisted, I didn't say commissioned. What I said was, as soldiers, we have a responsibility, and we have to make that culture not popular, because people don't do things that's not popular. If it's popular, and like you said, people are laughing and stuff at it, then absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I also say that it takes courage in those moments, man. It takes some courage in that moment to step up, because I've seen, like, I remember being a sergeant. Sorry, I remember being a sergeant and seeing like some soldiers, you know, things being said towards them or comments being made and people laughing. It was always those certain guys, right? Or that I know at that moment that would be doing it. And so it took some courage for me to speak up for that soldier in that moment. And it was hard, you know what I'm saying? It was hard. Because they were the cool guys in the unit, right? And so it's kind of like you're almost afraid of getting like, oh, you're whack, or, you know, or talked about and stuff like that, especially if you've never had to stand up for something so serious when you know it's making someone uncomfortable. So you are absolutely right. When we have to have enough courage to say no, like, I make it so awkward. Like, I'm not laughing. Like, your joke is not funny. No, like, people they already know. Don't do it around Sergeant Kilgore, right? But I think you're so right, son. Like, we have to start shutting it down 100%, and it starts with us. Yeah.
I appreciate it, Sergeant Jasper. I appreciate you jumping on and having the intestinal fortitude to come on and make your statement. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right. And so I will just echo what Sergeant Jasper said. You know what? A lot of things, it starts directly with us at that junior level, that squad leader level. We have to have the intestinal fortitude to step up and say, hey, it's not right to make that comment. It's not right to say that about an individual. We have to be willing to make the hard right over the easy left. Next, we got coming to the stream, we got Sergeant Thompson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, how's it going, Sergeant?
Good. How's it going?
Pretty good. So one thing, exactly like the last person said. Now when it comes to Sharp, it has become a check the block type of training, and it is absolutely important. Um, what I seem to notice is the Sharp program, along with like suicide prevention, it's very in your face. And what I mean by very in your face, anywhere you go, you'll see like wristbands to grab, cards, a piece of paper, or different contact information. And what I've started to notice with these programs is, yes, they're absolutely important, not watering them down in any way or form, but it seems to be like it's so in the face of every soldier. It seems to kind of be like it makes things a little bit more depressing, like making it seem like this is kind of a dangerous army, or this is it's very unsettling. Just an opinion. It's something I've heard from other junior enlisted NCOs, with how much they put it in everyone's face, and it's absolutely important. But I feel as though some soldiers are starting to just think it's a watered down program. They're starting to think that it's just another training thing. It's, oh my gosh, the Army must be so terrible. You get where I'm coming from? Is everywhere we go, no matter what office, if we have to go do something at S1, it's always something there pertaining to those programs. And I feel like soldiers are starting to feel like, well, maybe this is just a dangerous organization to be a part of, or people, Sharp is always constantly happening. Suicide is always constantly happening. I feel it brings a lot of a depression or a depressed type of mood onto the soldiers when it's put in their face a lot. I just wanted to know if you guys agreed in a way that you've also noticed that. And again, I'm not bringing down the programs at all. They're absolutely important.
So here's my question to you.
Yes.
What would you recommend? How would you recommend dealing with that situation? Because the reality of it is that, we live in a world where bad things happen. Absolutely. And the Army is a microorganism of society, as in like we're a reflection of society. We're the better reflection of society, because we are held at we're held at a higher standard. Absolutely. But there are things that happen, and we have to have ways of dealing with them. And the frequency of the use of these programs and the display of these programs is basically trying to eliminate this part of society that we don't want inside of our society. So how would you what would you recommend we do to deal with that?
I'm gonna be honest with you, as the only recommendation I would have for any of the programs is maybe when we go to do the actual training itself, make it like, what's the best way to describe it? Not just make it something we go over really quickly. We just like, hey, this unrestricted, restricted, you're just going through the box, you're going through the motions. I feel like it should be a more in-depth, realistic type of training to put you in that scenario. We did this once at a base I'm not going to disclose, or the unit, but I felt it was really good. I felt like it got more in-depth to the training, and it was one of the first times we did it in depth before. And I felt like people got a lot better of an experience out of it than just simply, hey, what do you do in this case? What do you do in that case? What is this? What is this? Who do you go to? Okay, cool. All right, dismissed.
So you got an experience. You didn't have an event.
Yes, it felt the training event felt more raw. It felt more realistic. It felt like, okay, all right, this could really make an impact on the soldiers pertaining to this sensitive situation.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Soren, as far as like that. you have to engage. People have to get engaged, and you have to get them to buy in. Whoever did your training that day, they got you to buy in because they made it relatable. They made it like, oh my goodness, this is something I'm gonna walk out of here and I'm gonna know that I need to shut certain stuff down. So it's on us as an equal opportunity leader. I try my best when I'm giving training to make sure that I'm using real life situations, not necessarily giving names or anything, but like, what if this happened? Or, you know what I'm saying? One time this person felt uncomfortable because this was said, shifting perspective. So as I think as sharp leaders, is that what it's called? A sharp leader? I'm sorry if I got the term wrong, the title wrong.
I believe so.
So it's up to the people giving that training to engage people, to get people to talk, to get them to answer questions, and to give scenarios that we can all relate to, being in the motor pool and certain stuff happening and blah, 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 things like that. So I think we need to do a better part. If you're a trainer, if you're giving trainings, you need to do your work to come up with something more than just your PowerPoint that Sharp program has given you. We need to go the extra mile to make sure that we're taking it seriously, so people can understand that we mean business when we're teaching this, and it needs to be taken seriously. I agree.
Son Thompson. I well, of course, because we're on a time limit. But I definitely don't want to water down your statement. I believe what you said definitely holds some relevance. And once again, I appreciate you coming onto the platform and having the intestinal fortitude to be heard today. So once again, thank you for coming on. Okay.
Yeah. Someone
right,
said
next
get off
we
the
have
class and discussions in small groups, exercise examples and current events. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next we got coming to live. We got Dove.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity. This hopefully is part of a stars exchange that we need. So I got the message really late. This is just more so, I know you're all trying to get solutions, but for solutions, I guess it's important for me to express how I feel. I don't think we all have a solution. There's a lot of leaders that are doing the right things. And because of what is happening, of course, only the bad things are the ones that are getting attention. And I believe there's a lot of pressure on those leaders that got to put out all this, do the mission and deal with these issues that are valid issues. So, with that being said, I believe that instead of focusing on division and instead of focusing on different races in our color, we don't have black, white in the military. We should have army green as a color. I think if we start with taking those labels aside and going back to our army values, we all have those. Whether whether you are a bad person before you came in, whether you were an immature person before you came in, or whether you came in late in life and you are a good person, when we start, we have good foundations that they give us. So if we go back to those army values and we take out labels as far as, colors, where you come from, place, everybody belongs to the army, to a good organization that is the strongest out there. Now, another thing I want to express, I'm a Latino Hispanic person, and I experience more, and this is just me, I experience more discrimination in the real world than I experienced in the army. That is me. I experience that I'm more of a minority outside of uniform than when I put on my uniform. And just leaving that out there. Now, as far as going back to, okay, the solution, what can we give? I believe there's the intent on when EO started to become separate from POSH and the SHARP program was stood up. I think that was the intent was good. I believe the program can be used for great things. My thing is that sometimes we put a lot of pressure on leaders to deal with all of these things that you might need a degree really to understand the human dynamics on how to help people. So I think, and I don't know, I mean, it all boils down to money on how can we have more professionals actually help those soldiers are this program. How do we support it? Because you're talking about somebody, the equal opportunity leaders, this is just an additional duty. The EOA at the high level is the one that runs the program, but the people that help are just like you and I, an additional, an additional duty when sometimes these issues require a lot more attention and a lot more, I don't know the right word, but professional, knowledge on um how to handle these things. That's my thoughts. I appreciate you all hearing me. And this is definitely, we're in the this is where change happens. My fear is that because there's so many issues, we start dividing ourselves in breaking out the issues. Some issues will shine light from another. So that's it. But thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Coach K,
Well,
you want to go first?
So I will say a couple of things about that. I do agree that there is a lot of times the negative outshines the positive, because there are some people who really care. You know what I'm saying? As an EOL, I know it is. I am passionate about it. It's not just and I know you're not saying that everybody is just an additional duty, but for me, like when I have that opportunity, I want to make sure that we understand each other. But I think that we have to be honest and say that, even though it would be awesome to believe that people don't see color, that's still something that exists. It's a real thing, and it's so good that all of us don't have to experience harsh situations where it's right in our face. But there are some situations where it is a thing that really does exist inside the military, and we have to just be honest in order to address those things. So I would just say that it would be nice to have a lot of professionals come in, but we have knowledge. Like, we're leaders, man. We have knowledge.
exactly.
And the thing you said about the Army values, I say that all the time. You bring all these people from all over the world into the Army, and you expect good people to become a soldier just by teaching them the 7 Army values for 10 weeks. How many times do you talk to your soldier about just being a good person? And this is just everybody outside of AIT and moving on. You know what I'm saying? How do we teach people to be good people so that they have a heart to not hate and a heart to not, dislike people because of they may have been trained their entire life to dislike someone because of the color of their skin. And now the Army says you don't do it. It's a hard adjustment. So those are real life situations that we still have in the Army. And it's just up to us to kind of reel those people in and continue to enlighten them, I feel.
So
go ahead.
now I want to key in on something that Coach K said, like with the when people come in and they get our Army values, it doesn't happen overnight, because they've had 18 years to learn whatever values systems that they had, and that's what they've strongly believed in for 18 years. So it takes time. And to her point about the additional duties, this is what I would say: like, we have to look at intent. I believe the intent of having a primary at one level and I'm not alternates, but what do you call it? An additional duty at another, is that the belief is that we all believe the same things. And being that we all believe the same things, which is equal opportunity, we're supposed to police up each other. And those non-commissioned officers and officers at those levels, when they see things awry, they step in so that we don't necessarily need a full-time position, at the company level or whatsoever, however you have it. So I believe the intent was that, leaders, like Coach K said, we're all leaders, that leaders would police that stuff up. And if that's not happening, then now we need to engage.
Okay. Next we got coming to the mic is I don't want to mess it up. It's a Specialist Kano.
Specialist Kano.
Kano, how you doing?
Good
I'm
morning.
doing well, Staff Sergeant. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
So, my opinions on the thought, I think it definitely goes back. I want to agree with Coach K because I think it definitely goes back to leadership. Fortunately, I had the opportunity, or not the opportunity, but the experience to experience both toxic leadership as well as good leadership. And I fortunately have an NCO now that teaches me the right guidelines and the right avenues to take on SHARP and EO. And I definitely think that in the beginning, it definitely starts with leadership, because coming in as a 17-year-old girl to a unit that you really don't have anybody but NCOs, you really can't experience or talk to the leadership as well as you think, because I had a really bad experience, and stemming from that experience, I think I could have talked to my leadership, but I was in fear of reprimand. And I think a lot of the junior female soldiers have if they do get like sexually harassed or anything abused or anything like that, I think a lot of their mentality sometimes in toxic leadership is to think like, what's the point of speaking out, because you're in fear of reprimand. And in the beginning, I've had something happen to me, but I was also scared to speak out because I didn't want to get in trouble. And I think if I had known more about the like opportunities or the stuff that can help me, the counseling or anything like that, I definitely would have spoke up. But I'm thankful now that I do have an NCO that has given me all the right technology and the right avenues to go speak out. I just think it starts more with the leadership.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I totally agree. When we get to a point where soldiers are afraid to say something, then we need to go back and we need to really go back and hone in on how did this become that individuals feel that they cannot say something and they feel some type of reprimand. So I do appreciate you coming on today and expressing your thoughts and your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant. I appreciate you having me and listening to my opinions.
All right, thank you.
Can I say something really, really quick?
Go ahead. And next we got Sergeant First Class Torres, then Master Sergeant Wyatt.
Hey, any of the soldiers out there that feel like Kano just expressed, because I remember being, like I told you, a little fearful to kind of speak up. Like that courage just doesn't come out of nowhere, right? You're not just going to come into the Army 17 years old and have the courage to just speak up to someone who is has more rank than you, or, that you feel like has power over you. But that's one of those things that I want to encourage you to encourage your battle buddies. If you know that something is going on where they feel uncomfortable, encourage them, hype them up to speak up for themselves or to say it to someone else, because I know exactly what you mean by not having the courage to say anything or being fearful. But that's one of those mindsets that we have to start trying to shift. So big ups to you and to anybody else who's thinking about stepping up.
All right. Next we have Sergeant First Class Torres. How you doing, Sergeant?
Hey, good. How y'all doing? So I just want to touch base on two things.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I know a lot of people need to understand is when a person goes AWOL, the Army would just file paperwork and just say he's AWOL, right? They don't go check. It's not the same. Hold on. The Oak Tree, let me go back. The Oak Tree counseling that we used to do back then, I think in 2010, 2012, right? It was very good, because you talk to all your soldiers before they left over the weekend, right? A lot of people don't do that no more, right? Mm-hmm. We don't talk to our soldiers before they leave, only on a 4-day weekend. What about on the normal weekend, right? And then AWOL soldiers, right? When a person go AWOL, what the unit does, they just file paperwork, right? And the only way we know if the soldier comes back is if he comes back, right? That's what a lot of units do. Does NCOs go check, call family, and all that? Most of the time they don't. And I just want to point that out.
Okay. I appreciate you coming on and sharing. So one of the things I want to ask before we bring our next guest in, Master Sergeant Wyatt, is I want individuals to feel free to express why do we feel individuals can't say anything? How do we come to a place where we can fix that stigma that if you say something, something bad is going to happen? And I'm going to bring in Master Sergeant Wyatt, then I have Travis, then I have Master Sergeant TJ Trent. Master Sergeant, unmute your mic.
Hey, how you doing, Professional SGO? I really appreciate you bringing me on. I'm stationed in Wiesbaden, Germany, but I'm currently enjoying my 4-day weekend in Dublin, Ireland. But I definitely wanted to get in on this. I think it's very important, and I can't thank you enough for putting this together, because the seriousness of this is just astronomical. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my experience, 22 years of doing this. I'm very blessed, and I feel very lucky. Because I have never had a soldier involved in anything in the discussion. But before I get into that, I do want to give a shout out to the specialist that was on earlier to come on and express herself and tell her story. That takes a lot of guts and a lot of encouragement for all of us to hear that. So good on you, and keep speaking up and taking care of those around you. But going back to why I feel like I've been so lucky and not having soldiers involved in this is, to me, it's just leadership 101. Just 2 days ago, before the 4-day weekend, I got all my soldiers outside and I talked to them to exactly what was just said. Don't be scared to speak up. We're here for you. We're here to help you. We're here to listen, and we're here to get you through the process. So just come and talk to us. But it's just communication 101. We got to get these young soldiers to trust us. We got to get these young soldiers to be empowered to know that we care about them just like our children. And if we don't do that, we're going to lose them. We're going to lose them, and they're never, ever going to come and do what's right and speak up on anything. And that's just my experience at 22 years, being an NCO since 2002, whatever. It doesn't matter. We just got to take care of these soldiers. We got to talk to them, and we got to treat them like our children, because their parents, the American citizens, have entrusted into us to take care of these kids. And it's our duty and it's our profession. And I just believe that if you do that, maybe I've just been lucky, but I've been doing it and it's worked for me. And I just wanted to pass that along. I wish you all good health. I wish everybody good safety. And SGL, I appreciate you letting me come on, man.
I appreciate it. I will say this before we bring in our next guest. I totally agree with what Master Sergeant Wyatt was saying. It has to be, we have to gain that trust back. And not all leaders are great leaders. Let's just be honest, because if that was the case, we wouldn't have a SHARP program. We wouldn't have an EO program. We have these programs in place for people to go and share their story about what's going on. But it all starts once again back with that NCO, that leader, that junior leader, that first line of defense. We have to be doing the right thing. So I'm going to bring in Travis, Master Sergeant Trent, and then we got Mr. Ron O'Farrell afterwards. Travis, how you doing this morning? Welcome to Ncopd Live.
Unmute, Travis.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so it's a little static on my end, but as long as you all can hear me, then that works to get out the message. So you're able to hear me clearly, right?
What? So it is very distorted. I'm gonna ask you to come out and come back in if that's okay.
Okay, I'll come back. Can y'all?
So Travis was having a couple of some difficulties. I'm gonna ask him to go out and come back in, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump to Master Sergeant TJ Trent, Mr. O'Farrell, and then Master Sergeant Gupton. You're next in the shoot as well. Master Sergeant Trent, how you doing? Welcome to Ncopd Live.
Hey, D, thanks. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm well.
Good. So I want to say, first of all, something Master Sergeant White said. I just want to piggyback on that. One, I learned from a mentor of mine who at the time was my supervisor, and then he went on, when I was a sergeant, he was a staff sergeant, he went on to become a 1 officer, and obviously I stayed on the enlisted side, but he said something very similar, or taught me something very similar Master Sergeant Wyatt said, which was we got to treat these folks like they're our family, like they're our kids. And it's not, a lot of people sometimes think of that as demeaning. Well, I'm not a babysitter, they're not my kid. But it's about putting that level of effort in there. How would you feel if your daughter was PFC Guion or somebody else? What actions would you take? So I just want to emphasize that this isn't a 9 to 5 job. It's a 24/7, 365 job. And so we got to put that level of effort and care into looking after our soldiers. And the second thing I want to say is, and I shared that article with you last night from the Angry Staff Officer website about how do we rebuild trust, and I think part of that is we got to get back to basics. The fact is I'm a master sergeant, and a PFC or a private or even a specialist, probably a sergeant or maybe even a staff sergeant, there's a power dynamic there. I can't realistically expect that a PFC can consent to have sex with me or be in a relationship with me. We got to get back to realizing that we have fraternization policies and stuff for a reason. And I had this talk with my soldiers yesterday. I, as a master sergeant, or even the first sergeant or a sergeant major, I shouldn't be hanging around the barracks all the time. I shouldn't be hanging out with, specialists and PFCs and stuff all the time. I mean, there's a time and place for that. We can all have fun, and we can have a lot of fun, and we can be a family. But sometimes I told them, hey, don't be afraid to raise the red flag and call me or call your supervisor and say, hey, I see something's wrong. So I think we got to get back to the basics on that. I'm going to be honest and transparent here. I wished earlier on in my career, when I was a sergeant, staff sergeant, I would have been more vocal about some of this stuff. But I can tell you that a lot of the things that we think that we were taught by folks like Sergeant Major Troxel and some of these, the senior sergeants, nominative sergeants majors back when, they were first sergeants and platoon sergeants. It seemed kind of cliche back then, but it also seems, but it's very true. And so one thing, going back to what I was taught coming up, was, those sergeants are the lifeline, and they're the ones that are around the soldiers all the time, and they're the ones that should be involved. When we got to get back to understanding that, again, a first sergeant, a sergeant major, and stuff. If we don't necessarily we shouldn't be hanging out on a certain level with the soldiers. And so, not to say I haven't had my entire platoon over to the house and we haven't had barbecues and stuff like that, and I'm always there. But it's getting back to those. It's getting back to the basics, and that's how we. I think that's how we get back to start. By protecting our soldiers. And then the last thing is that I encourage them to do when I talked to them yesterday is, just speak up. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, you don't feel comfortable talking to, your supervisor, just speak up. But I honestly, if it's to the point where somebody doesn't feel comfortable coming to me, then I've probably become part of the problem. And doesn't mean I need to, I like Coach K's expression when I said that. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable coming to me, then in some form or fashion, I've become a part of the problem. Doesn't mean I need to retire. Doesn't mean I necessarily suck at life or I suck at being an NCO. Maybe it's my approach. Maybe it's because, I'm not properly involved in what's going on. So it's this really, on many levels, this whole situation with PFC Guion has broke my heart a little bit. And And like Latoya Green just said, some people don't know the difference between taking care of soldiers and fraternizing. And I'm gonna this has broke my heart on many levels. One, and I appreciate you helping to build the bridge and repair some of that damage so that we can have a talk, and so that we can also, I will just say this: not everything we see on Facebook is true. And as leaders, what I would ask and what I would encourage is that less, like I told you on the phone the other day, let's seek perspective instead of perception. Perception is that initial, hey, I see and I think this is going on. Sergeant Trent didn't show up for PT, so he must just be blowing us off because he's a master sergeant and he doesn't have to show up. Perspective is giving him a call, even though you may not, you're subordinate to him and say, hey, Sergeant, I saw you weren't at PT. Well, I fell down, I broke my, ankle, and I just wasn't, I've been in the hospital all night or something, So what I ask is that leaders, talk to their formations about the difference between fraternization and taking care of soldiers, and then encourage them to seek perspective rather than perception.
Okay. I appreciate it. We did go a little bit over the 5 minute, but I did want you to go ahead and finish your statement. So once again, Master Sergeant Trent, I look forward to talking to you in the future. We're going to do some more talking, but thank you for coming on Ncopd Live this morning. Thank you. All right, next we got Ron O'Farrell and Staff Sergeant Gupton. Mr. Ron, unmute your mic. There we go. You've been doing this for a minute now. Come on now.
I know. Man, first of all, I saw your video yesterday, and I knew I had to jump on here and at least share a few things from perhaps the other side. For those of you listeners that don't know, my name is Ronald Farrell. I do a show with SEAC John Wayne Troxel called The Ron and John Show. My background is I spent 5 years, the first 5 years of my military career, 5 out of 8 at 2nd Ranger Battalion here at JBLM, an additional 3 with USAREC as a career counselor and a field recruiter. And what I do now is a lot of work on the other side in transitioning. I work very closely with our active duty service members in their transition life to that civilian journey. And with the help of SEAC Troxel, we're going to make hopefully some changes in the way that the military does that. But I will say in the last 15 years, 10 years really directly, that I've been involved, the last 5 really hands-on in suicide prevention, interdiction, amongst other things. And predominantly it's been, naturally with my Ranger brothers, right? In the Ranger community, and with the hopes of how do we expand that. And it very quickly that scope, broadened, right? Of how can we instill and help this transition and change. And I say that because out of all the females that I've worked with, all the transition veteran females that I personally know have some way, some form, some fashion, have been a victim of MST. Now, I don't know if y'all know what MST is, or if that's a term that's used in active duty, but it's a term that's on the outside, especially in the VA, of military sexual trauma. I don't know a female that has served in this great nation that does not have some form of that. And for the leaders that are listening and saying that, the thing is you don't know, you don't know what's going on in those ranks, and it has to be a more proactive conversation. The EEOs and all the forums and stuff that happen outside the unit, y'all got to know that the consensus is, oh, here we go, another workshop. Let's check the box one more time. That's what it is. It's a broad sweeping generality versus something that really is a conversation to be had. And the thing is on the other side of the recruiting side, I come from the hood. I come from East Riverside, California. And when we recruit and we go into these communities, we're in there at 17, 18, 19 years old. We have young E5s, right, that are leaders and leading these folks, but we don't know and understand what trauma is coming out from even that community. where these young females are already not saying anything because of what has gone on in their homes. I come from an environment in a community where I was wondering, man, is I going to get with this girl, and what am I going to have to worry about that went on in her home, because I won't know. And going into the military, these they're not going to say anything, or if they do say something, then it gets dismissed. So now what happens? And then we unfortunately, we tragically end up with a situation like this. And don't even get me started on why we haven't gone and found them and been proactive like that, like the E7 that was talking about, right? It's just AWOL, let's just sweep it out. The thing is that that's hard for me to swallow, especially as a Ranger, when I have friends that were on that Jessica Lynch mission, that were out, because that is and damn E-Tool, with their hands, looking for our female counterparts, or you have countless females that have fought and died, in combat and otherwise, and so we owe it to every single soldier, every single service member, the same respect, as we would for a piece of equipment. And I hate to say that, it really, really crushes my soul to see this. And I think we could do better. And I say this as I hate to be an event session, because you know how SEAC Troxel feels about that. You have to have a solution or have a big cup of, STFU. So I would say is my suggestion is, as it always has been, is being proactive, that leadership, getting active, utilize this opportunity, utilize this time as a wake-up call. Let's not, this is within our ranks now. This is something that we could actually talk about and do something and have these conversations within the small unit levels. This ain't stuff that's going on with the George Floyd, where we know what's going on, but we can't say. This is this is on our watch, right? So I think from small unit leadership all the way to the top, needs to be having some real conversations and being as transparent as possible, so we can support everybody across the board.
I appreciate it. Thank you for
Anyway,
checking in.
there we go.
Next we have Staff Sergeant Gupton. If I'm saying it wrong, correct me. Thanks for joining Ncopd Live.
It's Gupton.
Gupton.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? I normally, I don't get on. I like to listen and be a sponge and kind of, soak up things. But this one, it kind of hit home for me. I'm currently a recruiter, and I go in homes and I deal with America's sons and daughters. And this has been brought to my attention, 3 or 4 times this week. So I just felt the need to get on here and address it. I'm not going to be political. I just think that, I want to say some things, and I think that is important. I currently recruit out here, and when you have, parents, and they look at you and they ask you a question about, their most precious commodity, their child, are they going to be safe joining, the Army? That hits home. And I think a lot of times that we give the benefit of the doubt, and I think we have to really start getting after the culture of organizations and different formations, and making sure that we do the things we need to do as leaders to ensure that the people that we are charged to lead are, in fact, living the Army values. In fact, doing the things that are necessary to make sure that they are in the right frame of mind to do with the things that we need them to do. I believe that I really want to challenge everybody that's on the call, or everybody that's in the Army or have served in the Army. Ask your favorite female battle buddy or male battle buddy to tell you a story. I would tell you that some of the messages I've seen from some of my female battle buddies on social media, or some of the stories that they've shared over the past few days, it was shocking to me. Some of the things that they've admitted or said or shared that they've experienced in our ranks. And it's one thing that we have to get after. I think that we have to be proactive. I think we have to hold people accountable, and we got to have tough conversations. And it can't be to check the block. It can't be, to go along to get along. It has to be from a place of, hey, we got to police up people. Hey, guy, That's not going to happen. How I feel right now, I have SLC next month, but before this year is out, I don't care if I have to take leave to do so. I want to take sharp. I want to be a part of the solution. I want to be a part of having that conversation and bringing to light issues that some people feel silenced about. And it can't be a culture of silence of, that's just the way it is, or, oh, he didn't mean it like that, or she didn't mean it like that. Absolutely not. It has to be non-negotiable. And I think that empowerment that a lot of people talk about, you can't give the benefit of doubt with that. You have to make sure that we are coaching, and mentoring 2 levels down, as we should be doing. And you can't assume because someone has stripes on, they're going to know, because the Army promotes on potential. So you can't assume those things. And we have to empower our young leaders and bring them up to speed and change the dynamic. And it's not everywhere, because we can't broad brush and we can't say, but it's enough to where you can diagnose it. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in the symptoms. You can wipe someone's nose all day, but if they have the flu, they're going to walk away and the nose is going to start running again. So a lot of times we deal with symptoms and don't deal with the deep rooted causes of these things that happen. You have to get after the culture, the climate of these organizations. And that starts with everyone, like they say at the range, everyone's a safety. Everyone is charged to do so. It doesn't have to be that senior listed advisor. It doesn't have to be that field grade officer. Everyone who is a leader in their organization is responsible for the command climate of their organization. And it can't be swept under the rug, or it's not a big deal, or I don't want to deal with it. It has to be dealt with, because everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and come to work and understand they're going to be in a climate conducive for that to happen. I want all my female battle buddies to know that they should feel safe, as males as well, because it's an issue there as well. But we have to understand that you can critique something and not oppose it. So saying you can fix something or something can get better is not saying you oppose it or you're going against the norm. So it's not A or Z. It's a happy median. Okay, we have room to grow. We have an area to get better at. So let's get after it. We have enough leadership at all levels to fix this thing. But what I will say is that we have to hold people accountable and have tough conversations. So many times I see people have conversations closed door, or sidebars, but then when it's time to address it, it's soft or it's passive. It's not going to work. You have to get after it, and you got to be truth, and you got to speak truth to power and be authentic while doing so, and hold people accountable for the things they're doing, not doing, and how to get better and find a unilateral way ahead. So my suggestion, and my part in it is that I'm going to find a way to get sharp done this year, and try, if I can't do it because I have a lot of additional duties right now in my command, but if I can't do it now, I will make sure I get it done and be a sharp representative before my tenure is over. I will do so. I will do so. And that's the least I can do. And I feel like we all should do something proactive to make sure we are part of the solution. We're on the right side of this thing and not the wrong side.
You muted, Battle.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I was saying thanks for coming on to the platform. I was going to give you all the opportunity to say something, and then we're going to go to Travis and Sergeant Lopez. I will say before I give you all the opportunity. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the timer go off, that is not someone ringing my doorbell. That is telling you it ain't time to wrap it up. It's telling you it's time to cut it off. So just kind of But do y'all have anything to say, Battles?
I do. I'm going to say something that's unpopular, and these are my opinions. Senior females are afraid to come forward when these type of things happen. So if our senior females are afraid to come forward, because, and I may, afraid may be the wrong word, because the majority of people who I've talked to that's witnessed things that have been through things, the main thing they said is that they see themselves as a strong role model. And their fear is if they were to come forward, they would appear to be weak to those individuals who aren't as strong as they are. So I believe that we got to find a way to do something with the system to make them comfortable with coming forward, so that the ones who are under them sees that, hey, this is okay. It's kind of like the same thing we're doing with the whole mental health piece, with people speaking out and saying, hey, look, I went and got professional help. I went to mental health, and I got it. Like, it's almost sad to say it, the mental health piece isn't as bad as the sexual assault piece. Like, it's easier for, like, I went and got mental health because I needed to have it. I had to go talk to a psychiatrist. But in the same token, like, it's not there. We're not there yet. And I believe we need to find a way to get them to come forward. And it's their right. You know, they don't have to if they don't want to, if they don't feel comfortable about it. It's all about them moving at their own pace. But I think we got to figure out a way to get our seniors to come forward so that the juniors can follow them.
I just want to say that I don't know who it was that tapped on like building that connection or building that trust or whatever, but that's like the most important thing. And I know I did that, like, especially as a drill sergeant, red, white, and blue phase. I would put red chem lights in and make all my female privates in the company. Me and my female battle buddies, put them all around there when we was at FTX, and we would talk to them, tell them what a geographical bachelor was, tell them about, you know, tell them to speak up if something makes them feel uncomfortable, related to Sharp and just related to life, and just talking to them, you know, about, hey, you are 17 years old coming into the Army. You may be uncomfortable sometimes and you have to speak up. And I still get emails, privates that look me up on you know, on email and send me messages like, Jocelyn, I still remember that talk, you know, so they don't forget that stuff. And us as peers, like, we need to talk to our peers and like, hey, are you okay? You know, if stuff is uncomfortable, we need to talk about those things so people feel comfortable enough saying it. And I don't think we necessarily do that. People have in the past kind of brushed it off, make it awkward, speak up. Like, we have to start doing that stuff. I know it's been said, but that's what I would just say, like, build that trust.
Okay. Well, next we got coming to the forum is Travis. Can we hear you now, Travis?
Oh man, I hope so. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad you can hear me. I can see that you are frozen, and I don't know, it's probably the devil trying to avoid me putting out this information. So y'all can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I have two things, and I'm going to be as quick as I can. The first one is inappropriate relationship from senior leadership to, let's say, junior enlisted. The second one will be a focus on the negative side of criminal justice. Now, within the military. Now, just in case I do get shut out, I'm going to summarize both real quick. As far as criminal justice, I see that we talk about the side that sexual harassment and sexual assault happening to women. Now, that is disgusting, and I am not in support of that. But let's not forget that there are innocent people being accused of things that they did not do. And another thing, they are some women, and please forgive me for saying, there are some women that knows what they can get outside of the. Now, I'm an equal opportunity leader, so I'm very, very, very passionate about it. I love everybody, but I just wanted to shed a light on the criminal justice system within the Army. So we must not forget that these things do exist, and we don't talk about it. There's not a program or set in sight as to what happens if someone falsely accused someone of sexual assault. If you all can think of that and let me know if it has happened, please let me know. And if it did happen, usually nothing comes about with it for that person that commits that false accusation. That's one. Two, inappropriate relationship. I'm not going to say no name. I did have a first sergeant when I was in the military. So I'm a staff sergeant. I did have a first sergeant who married a sergeant that was underneath me. The whole chain of command, everybody knew that this was happening. He got away with it. There's pictures of them having a baby and that got married, right? My first evaluation report, and it's not about that, right? My first evaluation report was qualified. not deserving, but it happened. Right now, it's not about me, but I just wanted to shed a light on that. We must not be afraid to step in and intervene. Why? Because this will continue create toxic leadership. And because these folks are producers and they get the job done and make their command team look good, they are going to keep them in the military versus intervening and ensure that these things do not happen, right? So anonymously, when it comes to falsely accusation, let's just say I know somebody that that was falsely accused of rape and turned his cell phone, the whole 9 yards, saying he was innocent and whatnot. It could be me, it could be anybody, right? But not only did that female accuse that person of sexual assault, but she also accused her own husband at the time. And then later on said the act did not happen. It worked out for him. But what about that person that was falsely accused? Reputation down the drain. So I just wanted to shed a light on those two things that we must not forget, because a lot of people know what they can get away with the military. That particular female got out of the military as a specialist promotable, got 100% disability based on being a sergeant. These things exist. We just don't talk about it. So I am an advocate for the other side of things, because we continuously will have innocent people serving time like they are now. In particular, the justice system is already jacked up when it comes to prosecuting Black males. And I'm not afraid of talking about the race thing. So I just wanted to shed a light on those two things. I hope that you all heard me, but that's all I have to share.
Well, I thank you, Travis, for coming on and speaking out. Glad that your voice has been heard, and thank you for coming on to the show. I'm gonna give my battles an opportunity to speak after we get Mr. Lopez's comments and concerns. All right, battle. Staff Sergeant Lopez, welcome to Ncopd Live.
Hi, welcome, and thank you for the opportunity. You can hear me good?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a fan of your page. I think what you're doing is great, so thank you for that. I think some of the things that I got in my chest to put out there for the current situation that's happening is that the first mistake that I seen in the Army is in the ranks. When we send specialists to the board to get evaluated for promotion, once they get that promotable status, a lot of them, you hear them, the first thing they say is like they were concerned more about how much they're gonna get paid as an E5 than what they're gonna do as an E5 to take care of soldiers. So they kind of getting into being a sergeant and not an NCO. So they're forgetting that aspect of the NCO being the backbone of the Army. So there's some things I don't agree with the promotion system, especially when it comes to from junior soldiers to NCOs. But we got room to improve on that area. In regards to the current situation that's happening, especially in Texas and everything, is sad. I was in that unit for 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. Same unit, same base. I experienced racism because I'm a minority. But when that happened, it was the answer I was getting from my superior was more like, they just building your character up, right? And it's fine. I understand that to some point, but what if I didn't have the mentally toughness at that moment? What if I was more mentally weak? A lot of the soldiers don't have the same mentally strength to uphold situations like that and end up taking their life, going AWOL, doing mistakes due to depression or whatever the reason may be. And it's a problem. It's a problem across the Army. I encounter outstanding leadership across my career, which I'm also encounter not so outstanding leaderships that when they comes to this type of situation, they look more into the image of the Army instead of the welfare of the soldier. So when people report stuff and come up and speak up, they take the report, they they brief the soldier, yeah, I'll make sure you take care of it, I'll make sure that you the process go through and actions will be taken. They move the soldier to a different unit. 3-4 months later, you see that the aggressor is still in the Army, get promoted, continue his career, because at the end of the day, they protect the image of the unit instead of taking care of the soldier. So my opinion in regards to solution, this is just my personal opinion. I really believe in my heart that the SHARP programs, EO programs, yes, you should always have a representative soldier trained and ready to brief and give classes and inform the soldiers. But I really believe that it should be taken out of the command, the unit power, and it should be given to a special task organization within civilians that have no influences whatsoever with any unit within each installation. That way, when a soldier needs to speak up, report something, they can directly go to that organization and talk with somebody who can know for sure that they have no influences within the unit to be able to feel comfortable enough to talk about it. And then what the long-term goals about that is that once they see that one person reported and the process was made fair and impartial with that soldier, other soldiers can come in and speak up with no trust issues. That's my take on it. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you for coming on Ncopd Live. Battles, y'all have anything to say? And then next we have Staff Sergeant Tam L. Martinez will be on the feed. Go ahead, Battles. Y'all got anything?
Hey, I just once again, the false accusations thing. Everybody is entitled to their opinions, okay? But the false accusation thing, that's going to happen regardless in any type of situation where you have people speaking up or not speaking up. There's always going to be some of that. But what we can, and maybe a solution for that is putting a punishment on, false accusations so high that it'll prevent people from making false accusations or deflect some of that. But one of the things we have to understand is that that's just a part of the things that are going to come out of us making reports. And another thing, a good way to do that is by until we find out that it is a false accusation, they still take the proper precautions and go just as hard to figure that out. Even if you think somebody may not be telling the truth or accusing falsely, still go just as hard. You're going to let all these soldiers know that I don't care what it is. If you make a complaint, that complaint is taken seriously until proven otherwise. And I think if we can do that, and if we can make people know that stuff is getting taken care of, it will encourage more people to come forward. And I like the solution about outside the organization, the unit outside of the organization taking care of the complaints. It would make people feel more comfortable.
Okay.
This is what I want to say about it is I don't think a lot of people realize how complex this situation really is, because when we talk about getting an outside organization to take over the SHARP program, that's a big undertaking, because once an outside organization takes over the SHARP program, that means we got to completely structure and build or hire whatever. There's a big process that goes into that, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And then once that does happen, we can handle things with Sharp relatively in a timely manner because it's handled in house. And I got it. Like, a lot of people will feel more comfortable or with an outside organization handling it. But when you have an outside organization, you have outside problems. It's not going to be perfect. Like, this is one of those the grass is greener on the other side type scenarios. And we don't have a perfect Sharp program, but we have something. Because if you think back, what was it, about 15 years ago, we didn't have a Sharp program. So the Sharp program is relatively still new in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's a baby and it's growing, and as it grows, it'll improve and it'll get better. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that there's no problems with it, but the thing that I am saying is, like, let's come together and have these conversations about how to fix it instead of just saying, hey, let's scrap the Sharp program. Because at the end of the day, it's on us as leaders. Like, I think it was Latoya who said, like, as leaders, we got to hold each other accountable. She's absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely
Like,
right.
she's absolutely right. Like, you can't sit back here and see something and don't say something, because, like, at the end of the day, let's put it all up front. Let's put it all up front. If everybody adhered to the NCO creed, like we said we did, we wouldn't be having these issues.
Right, or the Army values, right?
Yeah. All right. Next, we got Staff Sergeant Tam L. Martinez, and then we'll have Sergeant Jackson to be on next. Sergeant Martinez, how you doing? Welcome to Ncopd Live.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love the platform that you are doing here.
Thank you.
Coach K, you hit exactly what I was coming on here to say. Hit on the nail, man. It's the false accusations. That point, it really does not matter when it comes down to what we're dealing with, especially coming out of Fort Hood. I used to be stationed out of Fort Hood prior to coming into USAREC Command, and I wasn't part of that climate that it's now being portrayed at Fort Hood. I didn't have these type of issues, but a lot of my counterparts, my female counterparts that were stationed with me, they did. And as a leader, my heart is hurting because I was oblivious to that. And so it starts with us. It starts with us as non-commissioned officers, because that's who's out here recruiting these young men and women. Like the young Staff Sergeant Gupta said, the parents aren't trusting us with their kids, and we're giving them the good and the bad. If you're a good recruiter, you're giving them the good and the bad of what's coming with their enlistment into the United States Army. And then the next person they're dealing with is your reception drill sergeant, and they should be the ones that are instilling in these people that, look, we're going to turn you into a soldier, but you do have a voice. I think a lot of times that people get so scared starting at these first levels that they don't want to speak up, but you can speak up. There are issues still in basic training. We all know that people are dealing with certain situations, but it's getting better. And that's because people are speaking up. You do have some strong people that are just like, no, F this, whatever. I'm not just going to be quiet. And sometimes those people are ostracized. And that's the problem. We need to stop being so personal and catty as not just females. I mean, I want to say it's more females from my perspective looking into situations that I've recently come made aware of. But stop being so catty and receive these new soldiers, and even when you're coming to a new unit, receive incoming personnel and let them know that, hey, I'm just here to be your battle buddy, do a job. We all want to frown upon the whole have a battle buddy with you, but had that specialist, well, because she's now promoted to specialist, I don't know if everyone was aware of that posthumously, but had specialist Guillen taken a battle buddy with her, she might still be alive. So is it that bad? Is it that hard to say, hey, battle, I need you to come with me? This is an uncomfortable situation. Or even if it's not an uncomfortable situation, why be alone? Always have a battle buddy. Always know that you have somebody to speak up to. I like to take a moment and utilize your platform, if you don't mind, and say that as a staff sergeant in the United States Army, I am 100% available to anybody who feels that they don't have a voice or they cannot report something. I am a sharp trained representative. I'm actually about to go get recertified as we speak. So my expiration comes up if they don't approve me, but they will. But be the leader for all my leaders that are watching this. Be the leader that these soldiers need. Be the voice, be the compassionate person, and really get to know your soldiers. We all know the line, all soldiers are out in all soldiers are entitled to outstanding leadership, and that's what we have to be. We have to be there for these soldiers, period. But thank you. I'm done.
Go ahead, Coach K. I see you. And then we got Jack coming in.
I like her. I like that. I like everything that you said. Like somebody even quoted you. It said, receive us when we come to your unit. Yes, like there's no intimidation. There doesn't have to be cattiness. Let's come together. Let's build each other up. I have no competition with any female I meet. How can I help you, battle? How can I help you, soldier?
Exactly.
You know, like that's my mindset. Like, well, how can I grow from you? How can you grow from me? I'm trying to pour into you. Y'all lucky I don't have a lot of soldiers right now, because it would be on. But yes, I really love that idea. And if we could foster that community, like reeling people in when they come to the unit, instead of being negative and talking all trashy about the unit, we would really make a difference. So yes, I'm gonna be reaching out to you.
Let me ask her one question right quick before she get off, because like I keep seeing this pop up in the feed. People keep saying that our SHARP program is reactive and not proactive. So could you speak on that piece? Because like, short of you accusing somebody of doing something that they haven't done before they did it, and us giving the training that we're giving right now, like this is how you respond in these situations and this is how you stay out of those situations. What would you say to that? Is she still there?
Did she freeze up?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
I can hear
so
you
what
now.
I was saying is that we keep seeing the proactive, our program is reactive, it's not proactive. And I was asking if you could speak on it, really quickly, because like, short of like accusing somebody of something that they haven't done yet, and given the training that we're given to show people how to handle themselves in certain situations or what to do when it's happened, or, like to just totally shut this type of behavior down, what would you say to that?
That's actually a great question. And someone actually said something in the feed before I jumped on here to try to get on camera. And I think it starts with inclusivity from the beginning. You have to but you have to instill in these soldiers, like what the proper procedures are. You have to let them know, what good scenarios what are good scenarios. So i.e., you don't want to put yourself in a situation to where you can get falsely accused. Like me, if I am Cesar Martinez female and I have specialist Joe Snuffy, I'm not doing anything without either him having a battle buddy or me having one of my peers, and that's period. It's just like, you just don't want to put yourself in those positions, and you want to make sure that these soldiers understand what these positions are like. No, you shouldn't be going to an arms room with just, a male soldier if you're a female, or even a male soldier that, because we talk. Let's not pretend like we don't talk. So a male soldier that is believed to be a homosexual, you don't want to be alone in a situation like that. You don't want to be called into the platoon sergeant's office at 1900 when everybody else has been released for the last 2 hours. No, that's the wrong answer. You need a battle buddy. You don't want to go to a party that's a house party at your NCO's house, and the NCO, this is the particular NCO that's cool with everybody and, laughs and jokes. And then you get there and yeah, there's all your little battle buddies, but all of y'all are underage and there's alcohol free flowing. You don't want to put yourself in those situations. And if you are going to put yourself in those situations, you want to have a plan A, B, C, and D. Now, can I say right now what that plan A, B, C, and D is? No, not necessarily, but those are just type of things that we have to start teaching our soldiers now. We have I'm not going to say stupid classes, but for lack of a better term, we have stupid classes on everything. Why not give a weekly class to your Joes about stuff like that?
Okay. Well, so Martinez, I appreciate you jumping on and being able to share your thoughts and your views on this situation. Thank you for coming on. I don't know if she could hear us, but all right. Next we got Song First Class Jackson. Welcome back to Ncopd Live.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so the person before the staff sergeant spoke, staff sergeant, I think his name was Lopez. I heard something that he was talking about that I agree with, but then I seen the perspective of Master Sergeant Green, and this is in terms of having an outside agency versus keeping what we have. And so I'm kind of stuck in the middle on it. I kind of want to share my perspective on both sides because I'm sharp as well, right? So I do think the Sharp is a great program. Like you said, it's only 15 years in the game. It's a new baby, this, that, and the third. At the same time, I think the other side to the Sharp program, and this does not go for everybody. This just Jack talking. This is just my opinion, right? And since all this stuff been popping off, on my platform, the DMs have been heavy from males and from females. Whether it was the males who were falsely accused, or maybe it was the males that were sexually assaulted, vice versa with the females. It's alarming. It's alarming, right? It's crazy. And so one of the things that I see is the people that are in those positions. I seen somebody talk about it. I don't know who made the comment, but those who are in those key leadership positions, or maybe those who are those Sharp reps, right? Because this is the elephant in the room we don't talk about, right? However you affiliated with them, not just by Army, let's say it's by fraternity, this, that, and the third. And I'm not saying everybody does this, but I'm just putting it out there because we know it's done. If it's somebody going through something, it's somebody that's accused, and it's your boy, it's your homegirl, right? Not saying that y'all would or anybody would, but we know it happened. Folks hit folks up and give them the heads up. Then it's reprisal for it. Then you get in trouble for it. You get blackballed, you get ostracized, you get talked about, right? And not only that, right? Not only that, because they're afraid to go to somebody to talk about it because they don't want any consequence for speaking on whatever this infraction is, now you deal with internal depression. Not only do you deal with internal depression, now you want to commit suicide, or those who have committed suicide, because you have no voice, right? And so, like I said, I think it's a great program. At the same token, though, I do think it may serve justice to service members to have an outside agency who have nothing to do with what we got going on. Because, hey, you can go holler at somebody and say, blah, blah, blah. And they don't have any direct connection to anybody in the military. There's no good old boy system. There's no, you keep us completely out the process, and then you have a genuine system that can help come up with solutions to help these young men and young women. And for those who, falsely accused or whatever, they come up with that system as well. I'm not saying we're not capable. I truly believe we are capable. Like I said, I agree with Master Sergeant Green. I think we've done a great job, and I think we'll continue to do a great job. But at the same token, I think you have female and male soldiers who are afraid, have been afraid to speak on their plight and some of the things that they've dealt with. And a lot of times it results in depression, suicide, or folks trying to cover up their dirt. And sometimes folks, lose their life. So that's my 2 cents on it.
I just want to say, so before you jump off, as an SGL, one of the things that so Sergeant Green is, I'll send it to you in your inbox. If somebody can send Sergeant Green the link in the inbox, in her inbox. So I would say this, as an SGL, one of the first things we were taught when we got here is about how we interact with our students. And I will say this, out of the 3 going on 4 years that I've been here at this academy, I've never put myself in a position in the beginning to even be questioned if I was being inappropriate with a student. So it just goes back to saying that as leaders, we have. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. When a new soldier comes up, male or female, whatever, to a new unit, and that individual looks appealing to the eye, we know that those thoughts are out there with some individuals. And then what normally happens in some cases is that they'll go back and they'll have conversations with their battle buddies about said individual. And if that battle buddy that's listening to that trash is not willing to check that individual, guess what? It plants a seed. And when that seed is planted, it's going to produce some type of a fruit. It's going to come back and produce something because we failed to address it at the beginning when it first showed its ugly face. This all goes back, whether it's sharp, racism, or anything. I, for one, believe that the sharp program, yes, it is there for a specific reason. Is it perfect? No, but tell me one thing in the Army that is perfect. I'll wait because we'll be here all day. There's nothing in the Army, there's nothing in life that is perfect. However, we have to be able to take something. If we see flaws, guess what? We start patching it up, or we pull that piece out if it's broken, pull that piece out, replace it with a new piece. That's what we have to do. So this is bigger than the sharp program. It's not the damn program. It's the individuals. I can't wait to Sergeant Green come on here. This NCO says something to me. Can I not hide my feelings of how I feel in a 40-hour block of EO, and I can be a racist? Can I not hide that I have predatory behavior in a sharp class for an 80-hour block of instruction? Yes, I can. If the individual that we placed in these positions, and excuse me, but if the individual that we placed in these positions does not care enough about the actual program and what the meaning of it, the true essence of it, then guess what? It's gonna always be a failure somewhere. But we need to have some type of fail-safe mechanism that when we see it as leaders, hey, wait a minute, you're a sharp, go and report it. Hey, I see the sharp hanging out with the doggone accuser. They're in the club, and that's we can't do that. We cannot do that. So that's just my piece. I appreciate you, Jack, for jumping on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, no doubt. And lastly, on the racism, we got to talk about it. Have the
We got to talk
conversation.
about it.
That's my piece. You got to be able to sit down and face the elephant in the room. It's going to be uncomfortable, but we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable to peel back the onion and get to the root of the problem and say, hey, what do we have to do to make this better? How do we meet our soldiers where they at? How do we relate to the Hispanic community, African American community, American Indian heritage, whatever? We got to relate to everybody, but you got to be able to have the conversations. And to have the conversation, you got to get to the root. And to get to the root is a very difficult process for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, it's a very difficult process. But I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let y'all have it. I'm gonna bring Green in because I know she coming with fire. Y'all be blessed.
All right, man. Next we got coming to the platform. We got Staff Sergeant Vera. Then, if I'm saying it wrong, just correct me when you get on. Staff Sergeant Vera, Staff Sergeant Scott, and then we got she's going by Latoya today. So listen, I just need to tell y'all, hey, you need to have thick skin because this NCO is one that's gonna tell it like it is, and we just need to hear it. Staff Sergeant Vera, welcome to NCO PD Live.
Hey, good morning, Staff Sergeant Hicks. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so quick thing. I'm a big fan of your show. This is an amazing platform for all leaders, so I appreciate that. So real quick background on me. I'm a Hispanic, Latino background, so I can relate a lot with the situation that's going on with Fort Hood and Vanessa Guillen and all that. So, it kind of hits home. It really does because, if you saw the press conference when they're talking on the news and the family and all that, they're like, yeah, she always wanted to be a soldier, this and that. They come from an immigrant family. So that hits home to me because I was in the same boat. Like me and my dad, we came to the United States and all that, looking for the American dream. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to join the Army because I want to give back to a place that I got so much things, freedom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a quick background. Also, I'm an MP from Trait. Like, I'm MP background, 31 Bravo. I know Sergeant Major Breckenridge is watching this right now, so shout out to him. My thing is that we need to be more transparent. That's my topic that I want to talk about. Like, we need to have those difficult conversations. Like, a lot of previous people that were on the feed were saying, like, yes, we need to have those conversations. The last NCO, he said, peel back those layers and have those difficult conversations. So when I was getting brought from the ranks, it was all like, everything was like strict, how it should be, standards and discipline. Like, when I was a Joe and I had a leader, I was, trying to talk to him, good morning, sir. And he's like, hey, troop, parade rest, parade rest is modified position of attention, head nice straight forward, blah, 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 lock me up. And that kind of builds that barrier. Granted, yes, like, there's places for your standards and discipline. I'm all for it, right? But we in the Army, I've had mentors like, hey, this is a people's business. Not all the time, you got to be locked up and this and that. There's your time and place for that, And I've had some leaders like, hey, this is a people's business. Like, hey, good thing. Thanks for showing me that respect going to parade rest. But hey, relax. Like, let's have this conversation. Like, how are you doing this morning? Yada, yada. You look a little tired. Did you sleep? Like, be more, what's that word called? That engaged leadership, So my thing is that, like, those crucial ranks, like those specialists going to BLC, those sergeants going through ALC, like those young NCO ranks are extremely important when it comes to that, having that interpersonal communication skills with your soldiers that you lead. And my thing, Staff Sergeant Hicks, you could tell me if I'm wrong or not, but last time I went through WLC, we got like maybe a 4-hour block of instructions on how to give a counseling on day form 4056. Like, hey, this is the TTPs. Like, hey, state your name, state the purpose of the counseling, yada, yada, yada. You're sounding kind of like a robot. And same when you give like I don't know if it's changed or not, but you're supposed to give like a quick public speaking session of some battle or something like that. But you go through the numbers, like, hey, good morning, I'm special so and so. To the overall risk assessment today is low. Like, if there's emergency, here's the exit. But when you're talking to a soldier, you're not saying like, oh, hey, good morning, I'm Staff Sergeant so today you're getting counseled for this reason. Like, the overall risk assessment for this counseling is low. If there's emergency, there's an exit. Like, like, that's not realistic. So my thing is that we need to bring that realistic interpersonal communication skills with our young troops, because those ranks are crucial. Like, those sergeant team leaders, those staff sergeant squad leaders, those people were the rubber hits the road when it comes to engaging those soldiers, getting down to the lowest level. So I guess my solution would be like, offer more interpersonal communication skills, not your whole, hey, overall assessment is low, there's exit, if there's mercy, this is the granted, that's important, right? That's part of our doctrine. That's how, we learn how we do our business here in the Army, the more you move up. But like I said, my background is MP background. So I've served almost every role an MP can serve, from your regular patrolman, your patrol supervisor, and I was recently just served as an investigator. And when you go to the investigator school, it's a 10-week course, and it mirrors the CID agent course. And we have a block of instruction, and it's interrogations. And interrogations is like, I love that block of instructions because they really dive in to that human mind. Like, how can you talk to somebody? How can you break somebody down? How can you get the information that you need? How can you empathize, sympathize? Like, how can you get on that same playing level? And it was a beautiful block of instruction that I believe that we should have, something more like that in those leadership courses, or offer a completely course somewhere else for those young leaders and senior leaders as well.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you jumping on, Staff Sergeant Vera, and you are totally correct. We still do that in ALC and SLC, so that is something that we do need to take a look at, is more interpersonal skills as far as communication. So I appreciate you jumping on. Next, we got Staff Sergeant Scott, and then we got Latoya is going to be on next after her. Staff Sergeant Scott, welcome to Ncopd Live.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the previous NCO kind of hit on really what I wanted to say about the interpersonal skills with talking to our soldiers, but I wanted to kind of, for our NCOs that are listening, we need to, in my opinion, bring back the humanity behind the rank. So, me being as a female NCO, when speaking to my soldiers, whether they're male or female, I come from my personal experience a lot when speaking about sharp, EO, dealing with racism or sexism within the ranks. As a young soldier, I dealt with a lot of things. I've been in the Army 13 years now. So I've dealt with a lot of things from E1 to E4 that I wish I could go back and I wish I had spoken up. I wish I had said something because I come across those NCOs as master sergeants, as sergeant majors, and I know they were a predator back then, having me as an E1. So I wish that I had spoken up back then, and I wish I had made it, open it up to the command. But I feel like coming through the ranks and having, NCOs who spoke to me on a very personal level, it kind of took that fear away. It made me a little bit stronger to know I wasn't the only one. Other people have gone through these things and spoken up and been okay with staying in the Army. So, I implore our NCOs to speak from a personal place. I get it. We have to be leaders and we have to make sure the mission success. But our soldiers are the huge part of that mission success. So if they see you as a person and they see that you have been through these things and that you are not afraid to speak on it, you're not afraid to bring it to light and let them know how to recognize a predator before it gets to that assault, before it gets to that direct harassment. Recognize when a NCO crosses the line or a soldier, crosses the line and makes you feel uncomfortable. Don't just brush it off like, oh, he didn't mean it like that or she didn't mean it like that. No, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it's probably a reason. Please open your mouth. Speak to somebody that you're comfortable speaking with. Say something, be that change. I know it's hard for a lot of soldiers to do that and come because, and another NCO said it too. We're bringing these soldiers in from families that are already broken. They've already had, things happen to them at home. So when they come into the Army, it's very. I know that it's easy for us to say, keep saying over and over, speak up, speak up, speak up. But if they're coming in afraid already, if they're coming in the Army already scared of that power behind that rank or that position, they're still not going to speak up. It's up to us who have we are the closest to them to make them comfortable with speaking up and bringing it to light. And the other thing I wanted to touch on was someone spoke about civilians coming in and taking over that SHARP program. I'm in the middle with that as well. But I just, just a couple of days ago, I had a conversation with my sergeant major about it. Why don't we employ our sharp VA reps to do those additional duties, like we have IG, like we have CID, like we have drill sergeants? When you become a drill sergeant, you are a drill sergeant for those, 2 or 3 years or whatever. Why don't we have sharp reps that go and get, that training and continue, and then they are on each post separate from the command, and they still have this, the green suit on. So I still relate to you, but you're not worried about my commander. You have your own, that, and your whole mission is to ensure that we get these people out of the ranks because it's not a part of that is not the Army values. That is not a part of being a leader. If you're a predator, yes, you can hide it during them 40-hour blocks, but them soldiers walk down the street because a soldier can call IG, and before nobody will know until IG comes down and says something or starts investigating. So I'm moving towards that more because I just think about me as a young private. What would have been more? What would have made me want to say something a little bit more? What would have helped me push me along to not have that fear of reprisal or that fear of, something it coming back or not being investigated properly. I know that's my time. So thank you for this opportunity. And I really appreciate it. And this platform that you're doing, I just want to encourage you to keep doing it because I think it's awesome.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing your thoughts and your concerns. Thank you. Next, we got coming to the platform is Sergeant Latoya. Welcome to Ncopd Live. Thank you for coming.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Don't put the timer on me. Can I speak now?
Yes, of course. Time
Okay,
starts
so
now.
first off, hey everybody, how y'all doing? If I offend anybody, sorry. So what I think about all of this is soldiers eat what we give them. Hear me out. So as a drill sergeant, you don't have to have been a drill sergeant to understand that there's red, white, and blue phase. Coach K, you got me? Okay. So in white phase, we get to PGs, platoon guides. And guess what that platoon guide is doing? They acting just like that drill sergeant. They acting just like you. They done took your mannerisms. They have started talking like you. They have started acting like you. So if you look at it, if you're a non-commissioned officer and every time they say we finna have sharp training, you sucking your teeth, you got an attitude, you doing all that stuff, guess what happens? Your soldiers start to emulate the same things that you're doing. If you have a problem with the EO program, they're going to start acting just like you. And guess what? Points drop down to 40. Now that soldier that started acting like you is a non-commissioned officer who acts just like you. You fed them that. That's your legacy. You created another toxic leader. We have to get the soldiers to drink the Kool-Aid. Whether we want to drink it or not, I got a Stetson. I don't even care about none of that stuff. I went about $160 Stetson because guess what? That's the unit that I'm in. I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid because guess what? I want my soldiers to drink the Kool-Aid. Not that I wanted to buy it, but guess what? I'm a part of the unit. I'm a part of it. That's that. We have to put out the right message. We have to ensure that soldiers understand that, hey, you know what? I'm an NCO and I understand, hey, after training, guess what? Hey, come in. What did you take out of that class? I want to ensure that you were listening. I want to ensure that you understood exactly what was said. So what does that mean? We're not, as leaders, we can't sit here and act like, oh, well, if you're going to this party, have a battle buddy. That's unrealistic. That's unrealistic because guess what? You have some soldiers, some female soldiers who are all male units. That's not saying that all males are bad or anything like that. You know what? You have to understand it's going to happen. They're going to they're going to party, they're going to drink. But guess what? I know for a fact, it's like when you send your child to school. I know for a fact that I have instilled everything in you for you to go out and be great. When you go out, you're gonna remember the teachings that I taught you because it's already instilled in you. I have affirmed and made sure that you understand exactly what you can and can't do. You know your left and right limits. You understand that because guess what? I put it into you every day. Get back to hip pocket training. Okay, we ain't got nothing going on. And let's go. Let's talk about sharp. We ain't had our quarterly training. Let's go. Let's get back to it. Let's talk about it. What do you think about it? Now that with everything's going on, now that everything that's going on, what do you think about what do you think about it? And I have one more thing to say before it's over. To the leaders that were out here sharing all that stuff about that soldier and coming down on that unit without getting all the investor and without getting all the facts. Shame on y'all. Shame on y'all. As a person that's in that unit, when you have to go out there, I got a spider bite on my arm, like you can't even see it. Spider bite on my arm right now from out there in that woods looking for that soldier. Can you imagine being a leader out there in the woods, hoping that you don't find a dead body? Until you can phantom that in your mind, don't make no post about it. Don't say nothing about it. Y'all were wrong. Y'all sit there and you got to come back. Listen to me. I'm going to tell you how it happened. We go out there in the woods, right? I get spider bite, you know what I'm saying? They just go ahead and give me my stuff. But then you got to go back. After the search party, you have to go and you have to see the colonel. And you have to tell that colonel, sir, we didn't find anything. We didn't find nothing. And to see that person's heart break, the break. Y'all don't understand that though. Nobody wanted to hear it. They just fire everybody, fire everybody. That hurts and that sucked. And I'm sitting here as one person trying to defend it. And everybody's telling me, no, Son Green, leave it alone, leave it alone. But it sucks that y'all would think that somebody would care more about a piece of a weapon The unit was already quarantined. So not quarantined, but we already had stay-at-home orders. So to sit there and say, well, if it was an NVG, then the whole post, y'all are wrong. Y'all are wrong. When I tell you, it tore everybody up from the private to the freaking full bird colonel. It did, and it still is. And nobody cared about that. And as service members, as brothers and sisters, imagine being that commander with no answers. Imagine being that leader with no answers. But you seeing it and everybody's just blasting you and blasting you. Nobody ever stopped once to think about that. Nobody ever stopped once to think about that. Everybody just wanted the clickbait. Let's like, let's share, let's do all this. Nobody cared about the people that were actually in that unit, that were actually going through this, that was actually out there in the field Monday through freaking Sunday. Nobody cared about that. So shame on y'all for that. And I hope that we learn. Now, I'm glad that nothing sharp related was had anything to do with her death, but I'm glad that we are relooking the sharp program. And I hope that it does get better. And I'm glad that she didn't pass away in vain, because now it's making the Army relook at a lot of things. But y'all have to think about stuff before y'all freaking try to shame an entire unit for nothing. For nothing. I'm a proud member of that freaking unit. A proud member. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I would call a spade a spade. And that unit did right by that child. That soldier, I ain't gonna call him nothing else. The guy, the people who were responsible for this, no, they did not. But as far as that command team, they did an amazing job. They did an amazing job, and it was nonstop. It was nonstop. Just because y'all found out about it later doesn't mean that nothing was happening. It doesn't mean that. Thank you.
So I know when I was I grew up in the church, all rise and let's join hands and let's go on and give the benediction. So before Latoya get off, so I would say this while I have her on, and here's why I want to highlight this NCO, because this NCO reached out to me and gave me the same perspective and opened my eyes, and I said, you know what, you're right. And we need more leaders like that to say, hey, Battle, I think that you're wrong. And right here is exactly what we're talking about. If you see something or I post something wrong, say, hey, Battle, I disagree with why you did that. This is what's going on. And because you don't know the facts, hey, you shouldn't be posting something like this. And my reply to her was, you know what? You make total perfect sense. Listen, everybody's not gonna get it right. But when we see something wrong and we don't correct it, then guess what? We are just at fault as the person that said it, did it, posted it, or whatever. And it's far too many times that we don't have leaders that want to just come out and say, hey, Battle, listen, I know what you're doing. I got it. You got the platform. But look, I'm going to tell you the truth. You don't want to do this. This is not what's going on. This is not right. And for her to reach out and tell me that, I said, you know what? I got to call her. Well, we stayed on the phone for about, I don't know. All I know is all the way till you got to work and then you were sitting in the parking lot and we were still having a conversation. And I had to let her know, like, look, Sarn, hey, I appreciate you. That there are still some leaders that are willing to come on and say, hey, Battle, you got this wrong. And guess what? God damn it, if you wrong, you wrong. Chalk it up, make yourself better, and move the hell out. You can't be in your feelings because somebody come and tell you, hey, Sarn, your hair is out of regulation. Well, no. Hey, Sarn, why you got your hair cut like that? Well, Sarn, you know why? No, Sarn, guess what? If you are wrong, then there's nothing on the other side of wrong but right. Fix yourself and get right. So I'll say it publicly. This was the individual that I was talking about since she came on. When I say gay, and she know what I say when I say this from a place of love, Battle. You already know. When I say gave me the business constructively, I had to sit back and say, you know what? You're right. Because at the end of the day, guess what? Just because I'm Staff Sergeant Hicks, or the professional SGL or the Ncopd live guy, I'm not always right. I am human and I am subject to make mistakes. So I appreciate you coming on the platform. I appreciate our conversation that we had the other day. You got my message that I sent you. I appreciate you replying back. I really do. Who we got next? I mean, man, that was woo.
Thank you for that perspective, Battle, because that's the one that we don't have. I didn't have that particular perspective before that. Sometimes we just not enlightened, man, and that's where we have to pick each other up. So I agree 100%.
Battle, you got something to say, G?
Now I just the woman's on fire and she's spot on. And at the end of the day, like I think the one thing that I'll add is like before she came on, they keep talking, referring to leadership and how we're dealing with things, but leadership ain't cookie cutter. There's no one size fit all. You can't approach every soldier the same way. You can't. Because if you do, you won't be very successful. I'm not like we have to treat everybody equally, but we can't treat everybody the same. Like we have to use different tools with different people because some people are passive, some people are aggressive, some people came from a home that wasn't, the best. Some people came from very, you know, prideful homes. Like you have people that have very high intelligence levels, you have people that have very low intelligence levels. So leadership isn't always cool and sexy. It ain't always it ain't always a thing that's gonna, have you out there looking the best. And
Yeah.
if you can't, at the end of the day, if you can't settle with that and be okay with it, then you don't need to be a leader.
If before we get Son B to start speaking, I would say this one thing. As a leader, and I need y'all to hear me on this. As a leader, notice I didn't say no rank. As a leader, if you can never face the fact or admit when you're wrong, that's a character trait right there. That's a flaw. That is a flaw because guess what? If you as a leader feel that you're always right, my mom used to say a one-track mind is bound for a head-on collision. That you can never, if you never accept the fact that, hey, I can be wrong as a leader. Even me as the professional SGL, I can be wrong. And when somebody calls me on it, I have to accept it and be like, you know what, Battle, you're right. And guess what? Not only are you right, but I appreciate you being able to give me insight and tell me where I was wrong. That's just my 2 cents. So we got Staff Sergeant. I ain't gonna mess your name up. Go on and unmute your mic, and then we got Mark the Hurricane Halliburton coming in next. Sergeant B, you on the mic. Welcome to Ncopd Live. Is he or she still there? Okay, they went off. Okay, I see he stepped away, but Sergeant Major Halliburton, you're coming in next.
Well, what it do?
What's
Good
going
morning,
on?
good afternoon, good evening. How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. Just like Doppler radar, I've been listening in and out all day, D, and got a lot of stuff going on. But I've been listening to a lot of stuff that people saying, and I appreciate and I respect. And some of them I'm gonna call BS on, just being real. But let's talk. What we got? I will point me in any direction you want me to go right now.
So the basis of this, I wanted to see how everybody feels about the overall climate of the Army. Not just the issue at Fort Hood, but racism or fear of reprisal to go and say something, or just words of encouragement to those individuals out there that may be dealing with something that feel like they can't speak.
I'm gonna tell you this. I had a long conversation with one of my first sergeants, and we as leaders, we have a tendency to focus on the uniform and what the person inside the uniform, what they must do, whether it's accomplishment, readiness, metrics, whatever. But we tend to not focus on that person who wears that uniform, right? So what I mean by that, I mean that we don't have a metric to evaluate where the person is, but we have metrics to evaluate where the soldier is. The person makes the soldier, right? Not the other way around. I hope everybody hearing what I'm saying because I'm gonna go deeper. So when a soldier is struggling, we go back to my brother. My brother always say we so focus on the fruit that we can't attack the root, right? The fruit is the uniform. The root is the person. So if the root is bad, why do you believe that the fruit will be good? I'll go deeper. If you want me to go, I'm gonna go deeper. So I'm sitting back and I'm talking to this first sergeant, and I was like, look, I don't even know what's your middle name. I got your ERB. Why do you have your middle name? Where do you come from? How did you meet your wife? Where's your wife from? and getting to know the intricacies of this person, this leader, and why do they think and act and talk and walk the certain way, knowing the person. So when the uniform is placed upon this person, I know the tendencies of the soldier because I know the tendencies of the person, right? You can't separate the two. I think that sometimes we see uniform and we assume that everyone has these shared core values. I believe that, right? But we don't know the person, right? You don't put on a uniform, whether you go to basic combat training, whether you go to advanced individual training. There's something that truly makes you believe that I will accept these values that the Army has given to me, and I will release my own values. Or some people who join the Army identify was like, those are the same values in which I have, right? So there's no change for me, right? But then some people come in the Army and has no connectivity with those values. They've never heard of them, they never seen them. And now you're expecting me to accept something that I don't necessarily agree. But then there comes a point in time when we do agree. But by that time, it's too late. I go deeper. So now, at what point is that? What point do we say that these said soldiers do not have these values that we think they should have because of of the environment that says they should have them? Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, and so I think the overall climate is based on the unit, right? Some units are doing better than others, right? Some units, when we say we can't group together the Army as a whole, because some, like I can tell you, some battalions are better than others, some companies are better than others, hell, some platoons are better than others. But I think it's based upon the people who's wearing a uniform, who's in a leadership position, who's running the organization. And not just necessarily because they wear a wreath and a star or Piers Lodge or pick your favorite rank and say, well, this person has this training and this company should be that. It's that person. How is that person doing? We don't have enough leaders checking on other leaders, and we just assuming that they're fine. I digress, but like I said, I'm in the eye of the storm right now. I've been listening.
Hey, I agree with that. I think like in our NCOESs, there should be blocks. We talked about this on the one what I did with you about personal development. You bring these people in, just like you said. If we don't work on that individual, if we don't help them really take on what we say is right, what it means to be a good person, so that they can actually like the people that they're leading and not want to do these bad things to them, then how do we expect them to get to that point? And then you have people who are good at PT, who are good at leading or good at doing, can go to all the schools and pass them, but then they lack the personal skills to care about people, the empathy skills. And then you have a whole company who is struggling. Oh, they can run the fastest, they got the highest PT score, but everybody in there depressed or got anxiety and don't want to come to work. They hostile when they come to PT, having to smoke 4 and 5 cigarettes before they even go to formation. Like, how do we build, how do we fix that? I think we fix that by bringing in putting in more work for our NCOs, and on the personal development side. If we want to have a good product as a soldier, we want the soldier to be a good product, a good person, then we have to develop what it takes to become that. That don't come from me putting on a rocker or putting on a diamond. That doesn't happen. It comes from me doing the internal work. No, sorry, you lie all the time. No, sorry, we can't trust you. You always gossiping. Like, how do we fix that? Even in our NCOSs, when you so competitive that you can't even relate because you want to be the distinguished undergrad, so you're doing shady stuff so you can get other people knocked out. How do we fix that in the NCOSs? By bringing that stuff up and having those conversations so you can go back to your unit and teach your platoon how to do it. And then what you got next, your team leaders and squad leaders doing the same thing. So I think it starts with us working on personal development. I'm Coach K. That's my thing. So I'm all about it.
And we look at the 3 pillars, right? A leader development, right? You got your institutional, organizational, self-development, right? What is self-development, really? What is self-development? Most people associate self-development, the first thing they think about is education.
Education.
That's what they think of. Education.
Yep.
Education. Correspondence courses. But let's peel the onion back just a tad. Let's take off that skin that nobody like on the onion. It's deeper than just education.
right? Yeah. It's the person. Self means self. That means me. That means me, right? Not just what I can do for my job. That means what I can do for me. How can I be right? But I think that, you know, in order for self to be self-aware, in order to self-development, you got to have one critical thing: feedback. You have to sit back, and I know I heard the buzz. I got you, D. I got you.
I got. I'm over here trying to do my own thing. Go ahead.
I got. So we so feedback. So somebody has to sit back and tell you, you know, this is what I see. But the other thing is, like David said last night when we had that session that was so powerful, is acceptance. You can have all the feedback you want, but you have to accept that feedback in order to self-develop. Accept the feedback to self-develop. Because if you don't, you can have all the feedback you want. You have to buy into and trust that the person's giving you this feedback is relevant. Yeah. And that's a whole nother topic when it's about the trust portion. I think there's a lot. I think the trust mechanisms that we have and the relationship between leader versus soldier is there. You know, we may say you need to do X, Y, and Z, but in order for me to accept what you say, I have to trust what you say and know that it's going to bring fruit from the root, right? I know it's going to bring good fruit, but that's a trust, and that's just me, and we all struggle at times to work upon that, but we got to look at our point and say, okay, how can I build this band of trust? But it starts with that people. I mean, the chief said it himself, you know, people is the army. But what does that mean? He didn't say soldiers is the number one priority. He says people is the number one. That word people is important, but people associate that with the soldier. No, it's the person, the person. And so until we can figure that out and get that right, you know, it's like we got the cart before the horse.
Well, that was the one and only Command Sergeant Major Mark Hurricane Halliburton. Two fingers?
Two fingers. You know you're going to get 2 fingers from me, bro. 2 fingers.
2 fingers. I appreciate you jumping on, Sergeant Major. Thank you.
Brother. One love. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Happy 4th now.
All right.
All right.
All right. Next, we got Command Sergeant Major Warren. Then we got Sergeant Carter. Then we got Sergeant B back. And then we got Sergeant, I'm going to say Purdy or Purdy. Sergeant Major, welcome to Ncopd Live. This is not your encore. You owe me a date for your encore performance, but go ahead. Mike is yours.
No, Sergeant Hicks, you owe me the date because I told you whenever you give me the date, I'll be back.
You know what? You sure did. I got you.
Hey, so I wanted to follow on the comment that Mark just made when it coming about people. And if you heard me speak because there's a lot of people heard me speak when I was at the academy. You know, we always talk about soldiers versus people.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing every NCO always taught me about was their soldiers. As a former recruiter, I didn't recruit no soldier to come into the Army, but I recruited people who had a story. And sometimes we forget to find out what that story is that makes that person. And it reminds me of the soldier I had when I was in Okinawa, that once I sat down and talked to this soldier, he told me about what he went through and the abuse he went through in life. But people had him labeled as not being any good. You know, every unit always puts that label on that 1 or 2 soldiers as being the worst soldiers in the Army. But how many leaders have sat down with that soldier to find out what's really going on with them? And I think that's sometimes where we miss the mark at. Been listening to your show, a lot of good topics. I don't have time to talk about all of them, but I do want to leave you with the question because I had to stop what I was doing, stop my car so I could jump on real quick. As leaders, what would your life look like if you stopped caring about how people thought about you? If you stopped being afraid to do things that will make you do right? And sometimes we think too much about what goes on that paper, and it is a competitive market out there. But if you perform and you take care of people, everything else will work out. If you make people your number one priority, then it will go. People ain't always gonna like how you lead, and that's okay because they don't have to. But they also had to know that you can take care of people and that you're there for people. So just make people your number one business. And I do want to make one quick comment on the SHARP program because I know that I jumped on and I heard that topic earlier. being in the training environment, I see how these soldiers are coming from BCT to AIT, and we have made sharp more than a verb more than a program.
Mm.
Soldiers walk around and talk about, well, he sharp me, she sharp me. Sharp is a program, and until leaders make it a program, uh, and teach the program the right way, it's kind of like MRT. I love MRT. I'm an MRT guy. But some days I don't want to hunt the good stuff. So tell me how to apply this stuff to my life and how to lead through these programs. And stop being afraid because of the programs. Learn to lead through the programs. So this is my little quick jump in with you today. You still owe me a date, Son Hicks, and I'm looking forward to it. I got some stuff for you that I have not even released yet, and I'm working on it.
See, once again, I got accepted because I was wrong, but I thought I told you. But check Roger, whore. Check Roger.
Do you want me to forward you the email traffic back?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Once again, if I was wrong, I was wrong. So I will make it I'm gonna send a text when I bring the next person on. Y'all gonna see me texting. I'm texting my person that does our calendar. Give me a date. I need a date. So you'll have it by when she replies back to me. You'll have it as soon as I get it. Let me say that. I gotta give myself some room.
That's fine. You know I'm here for you, Son Hicks.
All right, Mitch, I appreciate it. Be careful out there on the road too.
All right, y'all be safe. Have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right. Next, we got, man, I owe some people some, man. Look, I'm human. Next, we got Sergeant First Class Carter. Then we got Sergeant, I'm not going to jack your name, man. I don't want to do it. Staff Sergeant B. And then same thing, Staff Sergeant P. I don't know if it's Purdy or Purdy or, Purdy. Okay, I see you in the green room. Sergeant First Class Carter. Welcome to Ncopd Live. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good.
All right, can y'all hear me good?
Yes.
All right, so I wanted to be direct, so I have a little note card so I don't go over time. First thing I want to hit on is these NCOs, you have to learn your soldiers. Just like you learn your kids, you got to learn their characteristics, their strengths and their weaknesses. All right? If you ask the NCO who's the best NCO in the company, they're going to probably say themselves. Rightfully so, you should think highly of yourself. But what do your soldiers think about you? Right? You don't never really want to know what your soldiers think about you. And I had that issue with one of my platoons I had. So what I did was I had all my soldiers, right, their leaders, counselors, to let them know where they stand in their life, in their career, and what they're doing. I can say I'm doing everything for the soldier, but am I really doing it? Right? Am I giving them what they really want? You see what I'm saying? So in return, the soldiers were respectful. They kept their tact, and they told them, like, look, I need more of this from you. I need more guidance. I need more of this. It allows them to see when that soldier has a bad day, they understand that that's not his characteristic, and they can go in there and they can hit that, or they can direct it. If you don't know your soldiers, then, you're in the wrong job. All right. Another thing about the sharp, right? And I said it yesterday. You got to make yourself approachable and ask yourself, why are you not approachable? So when a situation happens with an NCO or anybody else that's sexual harassing a soldier or individual, and they feel there's nowhere to go to, I would take it personal if I'm an NCO in that unit and they never came to me. Now, sometimes every soldier don't want to go to you, but at the end of the day, whether she wanted to or he wanted to or not, I'm still going to say that, dang, did I make myself approachable? Like, how do I need to carry myself so that anybody, because my soldiers are not just my soldiers I counsel. My soldiers are everybody in my unit. And even the ones I see walking to the shop at, if I got to make a correction, that's your soldiers. Right? So you have to make yourself approachable. Any program in the Army is a good program. I don't care what it is. But it's a program. It's ran by NCOs. It's ran by somebody. And it's only as good as the NCOs. I said it. A lot of people said it in the group. All right, you can put a gun right here. That gun is a killing machine. But it's only deadly if somebody grabs it and does something wrong with it. And that's it. I'm a tanker. A tank is it's the most killing machine on this world. A tank. but it's nothing in that motor pool if an NCO ain't riding it. It's nothing in battle. Lastly, I lost my nephew about three months ago. Man, Graham, we talked about this. He was killed by 2 soldiers in Fort Lewis. He was in Fort Lewis. I say that to say this. Green, we had a little conversation in the inbox, and she corrected me on some things. And as a man and as an NCO, I understand when I'm wrong. You know, because it was a block of time, and some people contested this, that we did not know what happened to my nephew and who did it. And everybody was throwing out these things, and I had people calling me. I had investigators calling me. I had NCOs calling me. I had everybody calling me, but nobody really knew what happened. And I was getting aggravated with people saying things. So I'm a man. I commit. You know what I'm saying? Like some things should not be said about a situation until everything comes out. All right. So, Green, I appreciate you hitting me up about that. But yeah. So at the end of the day, I just want to say, why are you not approachable? And if you want to know what you're doing for your soldiers, ask your soldiers. Have them write it down. Don't put them in that room like, all right, what do you need from me? Sometimes they got to go and write it. They ain't going to tell you what they want to tell you, but let them go write it and give it to you. And then you can understand their perspective of what you're doing and what you're not doing. Then you can move on, because at the end of the day, they write your NCO. Nobody else does. All right, but that's it. I appreciate the platform. Y'all have a good weekend. Happy 4th of July. Hit me up, Battle.
Appreciate it. That was the one and only son, First Class Carter, jumping on. We're gonna move on real quick. I want to get ready to try to wrap this up. I do not want to keep my battle buddies whole, Friday, because I do appreciate them jumping on. I know. So we're gonna take these last 2, Staff Sergeant B and Staff Sergeant Purdy, and then we're gonna have our closing remarks. Staff Sergeant B, welcome to Ncopd Live. The mic is yours. Staff Sergeant Beeks, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So my name is Sarn Bez, and I'm here at Fort Lee. I was listening into Ncopd Live, and I agree with a lot of stuff, especially Coach K when he said it starts with us NCO. So I'm a firm believer to empower soldiers with information and skills and tools so they can think for themselves, and we're there to guide them. But however, how can we do that if we ourselves are not fully equipped with the tools that we need? You know what I'm saying? So and then on our program, I've heard a lot of people said you have to be approachable. So I'm on CQ, so I just did a test, right? So I asked the soldier, 2 privates that walked in the building, and I asked the soldier, I said, I give you a scenario and you tell me which your answer. And there's no wrong answer and right answer. I just want to know where your head is at. So I asked the soldier, if you were sexually harassed or sexually assaulted, will you tell your victim advocate? The soldier said no. So I said, okay. Will you tell your drill sergeant? She said yes, because I trust my drill sergeant because he's with me all the time. So I asked her, okay, so will you tell me if your drill sergeant is not available? Will you tell me? And the soldier said, yes, I will tell you, sergeant. So I said, why wouldn't you tell your victim advocate? She said, well, I don't trust her. So I started laughing. I said, I am your victim advocate. And I gave the brief not too long ago. So I knew right then and there I have to be more involved in the soldiers, like, make my face more visible for the soldiers so they are more open, and then the trust will start building from there. So I already recognize where the issue is. So just to me, I have to equip myself with the tools. And then I'm also a firm believer on this board. When you go to the board, I think they should throw more scenarios rather than just ask you, hey, can you find this in which regulation? But do they understand what's on that regulation, or they're just giving you a book answer?
Wow. You got something, Coach K?
That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Command Sergeant Major Breckenridge will be our final one. So we're going to Sergeant First Class. I'm gonna let him say his name, man. I know I probably jacked his name up a couple times.
It's Purdy. Can y'all hear me?
I was right. I was way off on the last one.
You was right.
I was way off on the last one when she said that. I ain't started your time yet, but I was like way off on the last one. So,
Yeah, I ain't
but
gonna say nothing about that, but it's all good. So listen,
yeah,
listen. First and foremost, I appreciate the platform. This thing that you're doing, you and your team, this is absolutely amazing, and it's reaching so many people. I'm all the way in Hawaii right now, and
wow,
I got the message that you was on here doing this type of conversation. So I surely appreciate it. And I know a lot of soldiers do.
appreciate
I
it.
want to talk about engaged leadership real quick. I know a lot of people have talked about it during the past 2 hours, but engaged leadership to me means more than just what's going on 9 to 5. To me,
Mm,
soldiers come to you with their issues and their problems when they know you care. You show you care by being engaged. What's going on with their family? What's going on in their personal life? Not being their battle buddy, but being their damn leader. That's really what it comes down to. And I'm sorry for cussing, but that's just how I see it. Number
open
two,
talk.
influence. To everybody listening on this forum right now, to everybody who can hear my voice, your words have meaning. Influence carries a lot of weight, and a lot of things that's going on in the army and specific units are going on because people are allowing it to happen. Let's, as leaders, use our influence to make sure we enforce change, and that goes both ways. I know there's soldiers on lower listed soldiers who are scared to say something. There's some senior leaders who are uncomfortable saying what needs to be said and taking action for a variety of reasons. That's your charge as the leader. That's your charge as an officer, as an NCO, as a person of influence who wear the same uniform I wear. You are charged to lead. And that means peeling back the onion sometimes, having those uncomfortable conversations and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and listen to what's going on and what's being said. So again, listen, what we're doing right now needs to take place everywhere. We're having these uncomfortable conversations right now as we speak, and not enough leaders are comfortable doing that. So until we get to a place where leaders actually take action and feel comfortable being uncomfortable, we're gonna have these same issues over and over again. So I encourage anyone who's listening to have these uncomfortable conversations. I don't care what your rank is. You got to stand on your own 2 feet and be proud to wear the uniform. And part of that process is speaking when you know something needs to be said, doing something when you know something needs to be done. So again, I appreciate the forum. I'm a big fan of yours and your team, and I appreciate everybody out there that's listening and doing their part to make this thing better. Let's stop focusing on what we should have been doing, and let's focus on what we need to do right now. Take a stand on your own 2 feet, and do what you know needs to be done. Stop worried about the reprisal that might go. You're gonna have some backlash. Let's be real about it. If you stand out on your own 2 feet and go against the grain, there will be some backlash. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's your responsibility as a leader to stand up and do what you know needs to be done, regardless of how other people are going to take it. Let's just be real about it. So again, listen, I appreciate y'all. I don't know if that's my time, but I appreciate the opportunity and the forum.
Well, I would say this, son, before you get off. At the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road is out. It comes back to our responsibility. And
Absolutely.
I will quote the current G4 Sergeant Major. He said, "If a unit lacks discipline and standards and discipline, look no further than a non-commissioned officer."
Mm, absolutely.
You can't, you
100%.
can't, you can't say nothing about that warrant officer. You can't say nothing about that commissioned officer. Whose job is it to enforce standards? The non-commissioned officer. And a lot of
That's right.
times, the reason why we don't stand up and say nothing is because we're afraid to check our own battle buddy.
Mm.
Because some of our
Speak it.
battle buddies that hang in our circle are some of the biggest offenders. But we don't want to check our own battle buddy. But we'll go check another friend or somebody else, another NCO, if they use the N word in their conversation and they're not the same color of me. But you would let your battle buddy call it and say it out in the open in the motor pool or at the smoke shack. But when somebody else of a different color say it, then you got an issue with it. At the end of the day, wrong is wrong. It shouldn't be used in the workplace.
Absolutely.
And this is the thing about these hard conversations that I don't think people really take into account. Like when we first learn to do something, there's two thought processes. There's one thought process of how long does it take to learn to do said thing. Then there's another thought process of is it how long it take or is it reps? So if we get these repetitions in of having these uncomfortable conversations, eventually they won't be uncomfortable. They'll
Exactly.
become the norm. And we just gotta, like you said, we gotta get out there and we gotta have these conversations because, like, look, There's nobody that's sitting in this room right now who hasn't had at some point had to have a conversation. It was hard, but you still did it because you knew that was what had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to get to the destination that you was gonna get to, you had to go through some pain. Just like we're working out. You got to go through some pain to get them gains on the end.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you, Son P, for jumping on.
And I appreciate y'all, man. Keep doing your
All right.
thing, man.
All right, our final guest, and it would only be befitting. He hails. Now I'm not going to introduce him like that because I know that they brought him out real good on the Ron and John show. But an outstanding individual, somebody who I've grown to trust and call on for good counsel. None other. He will be closing us out than Command Sergeant Major James Breckenridge, the Fort Leonard Wood Command Sergeant Major. How you doing, Sergeant Major?
I'm doing great. How's everybody doing today?
Good. He got this cap. He got this hat on.
Hey, I did that just for you, D.
I know you did. I know you did, Sergeant Major. Just for that, I'm gonna give you an extra minute, 6 minutes to think about why you came on here with that hat. The mic is yours, Sergeant Major.
Well, I was wearing my Mizzou hat. Obviously, my daughter's on vacation right now, and I miss her dearly. But then I was like, oh, if I'm gonna come on, man, I got to put on my Cowboys hat for D Hicks. So, but yeah, I did get roasted pretty good at the Ron and John show, but it was always great. But hey, so I'm not gonna take up 6 minutes because I'm gonna be very quick, concise, and clear with my message. First off, yes, that there is a lot of things that we need to talk about, and I have some notes in front of me, and I'm going to reference those notes because I don't want to get off track. First, I want to give a big shout out to Latoya because I will tell you, we would not know. Right. The world would not know the different perspective of what's going on down there unless someone from that unit stood up and said, hey, stop. We did do the right thing. And whereas no one is perfect, I believe that there are great leaders out there, and she confirmed that they did. So hats off to her for being very vocal and the little message that I said, and I mean it. I love her. And the reason why is because she's so passionate about what she does. So, all right. So first off, I want to talk about something that I heard from a great dear friend of mine as we were talking about this at the beginning of this diversionary inclusion type stuff is transgenerational. So let that sink into your head a little bit about what's going on in the world right now. This problem didn't exist, yesterday or last week or 3 years ago. Before you all were born, this issue was here, and it's always been, and it will continue to be because it's a transgenerational issue. There's 330 million people in the United States of America, and to get them all to sing Kumbaya and hold hands will never, ever happen. But what we must do, especially the military being the forefront, and Rich Green said it earlier, we lead the change in the military. We do things better than the civilian community would, right? Take the SHARP program. Where it is not perfect, there's nothing perfect. As you said, D, you said it yourself. There's nothing perfect in the Army, but it's what we do with it. They didn't have these type of programs in the colleges and universities across the United States before we did it, right? 12 years ago, when I put on the wreath as a sergeant major, the SHARP program was taking off like wildfire, right? Brand new, standing up. People really didn't understand it. That wasn't even a discussion in universities and stuff. There was no problem in universities, but now they have acknowledged it. And so what we're going to do in the Army, I think, is we're going to lead change. We're going to lead change in the world. And then eventually the world is going to, especially the United States is going to catch on. So transgenerational. So let me quickly talk to you about a few things and I'll share this. How do we change the behavior of people? So listen, you cannot, and I've been on Fort Leonard Wood for almost 4 years now. You can't take a trainee or a civilian off the streets and change their behavior by words. It just doesn't happen. It ain't gonna. I don't care how many briefs you do. I don't care if it's a sharp PowerPoint. I don't care if it's under the oak tree counseling. I don't care. You're not going to change their behavior if they are mindset into that stuff. How do we do that though? Well, I'm going to tell you the answer, and it's 3 words. The first thing is we got to change their thought process. We have to change the way they think because this is easy stuff, right? No one's born a racist. No one's born with biases. We gain those through life. And in some families, they're taught that everybody except you is against them. And that's how they're brought up. So the first thing we need to do is change their thought process. And how do we do that? It's very simple. Listen, learn, right? Talk to them, listen and learn from each other. We must stop, listen, and learn. So that's how you change their thought process. It's not going to happen over time. D, you were in a conversation where there was a Sergeant First Class talking about he came in the Army. He was a racist because that's what he grew up. Yep. But as he learned, as time went on in the Army, he learned to not be that way. And that now I can tell you to this day, he's not. He is a true, compassionate human being, not an NCO. This is beyond the Army. He is a true, compassionate human being. So how's the next thing? What is the next thing we change behavior? Words, right? Words have meanings. You all said it just a few seconds ago. All I'm doing is taking what you've been saying for the past 2 hours and 24 minutes and 53 seconds into 3 words. Thought, changing the words. Excuse me, words have meanings. Making sure that when people talk about people, that we're talking to them with compassion, right? And I said it earlier, the Army needs to adapt humility as the 8th Army value. I believe it. I've said it for a long time, and maybe it'll happen. And the last thing to change a behavior is habits. We got to change the habits of our folks, right? And I believe we can do that with certain things of words, talking about certain things, acting a certain way, those type of things. We just change their habits or the way they do it and really just get to know your folks. And it's tough. I got it. COVID is here and, quarantine and isolation and stuff like that. But it's true, man. Leadership is people business. I have a thing down here and I wrote this a while ago, because when people ask me about what's going on, I said, this right now, what's going on is not a political conversation. It's a damn people person conversation, right? It's all about people, treating people with dignity and respect, no matter where you came from. And so I challenge every leader listening right now, stop, ask your soldier, ask your NCO, ask someone below you, ask them what their story is. Ask them, right? Because I had a hard life. Okay, the color of my skin might not be the same as D or Rich or Coach K, but I had a tough life too, right? A tough life growing up. And so my point to that is we have to ask our folks, how was it, right? Sergeant Major Halliburton will tell the story about how when he was a young trainee, there was that little hangman thing on his dry erase board at his door. I didn't have to go through that, but you all did. Maybe potentially. And I want to know about it. And I want to know how you all feel. And then I want you to know that you can trust in me. Because I tell people leadership is getting from people from believing you to believing in you. Right. And I'm very passionate about this. You could probably see it in my facial expression that this is something that is so near and dear to my heart because people, if my daughter was to enlist in the Army, I would want you all these NCOs on the net, the 150 so folks watching right now, I would want you to take care of her because I'm trusting you to do that. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and stop there because I just keep going on and on and on. But I just want to tell everybody that came on the net today, whether it was a comment, whether they came on with picture or no picture, or whether they just listened. This is how we're going to make a difference. To be the difference is to get and talk about it. And it's okay. It's okay. We're not bashing anybody. We're not bashing units. We're not talking anything bad. We know that there's problems here and there. Every SHARP program is better here and there. But at the end of the day, we're just talking about what is the dynamics of this thing. And it's people. It's people. It's that simple. It's people. I don't even know Coach K, but I'm inspired by her words when I listen to her talk. And I don't even know her, right? But at the end of the day, it's about people. So I'm done. I'm tapping out.
Before you go, I got one question I want to ask you.
Absolutely.
So you were talking because this I think it needs to be asked. You were talking about habits, and when people grow up in their own culture that they've came from, they develop habits. The Army is a culture, and we have habits in our culture that we would want other people to come and adapt to. What are some of our habits that we do? Good order and discipline, treating people with dignity and respect. What would be your message, since you're our final guest, what would be your message to those leaders to get those junior soldiers to buy into the habits that we have in our culture of the military?
Well, I'm going to tell you, you stole it right there. It's right there. It says treat everyone with dignity and respect. It's right there. It's in my notes that I talk about. I carry this thing around with me. Treat everyone with dignity and respect, regardless of the color of your skin, your gender, your religion, your football team, whatever, right? Just treat people with dignity and respect, and treat them as one of your own. Treat them as they're your kid. And that's what I do. I try to pump people up and empower people at every level, regardless of who it was. We did our best warrior competition. I brought all the females, not to separate them from the males, but I brought them over together. I said, thank you. Thank you for making it to this level and proving my point that regardless of how much you weigh, drill sergeant, buckle 5 wet, you can still carry that 60-pound ruck for 12 miles and be better than anybody else here. It doesn't matter. And so my point is, yeah, treat people with dignity and respect. And man, I don't know how else to sum it, but it's in my notes that I talk about, because whenever I talk about, what's going on in the world today, my diversity and inclusion, right, notes that I talk about, and it's not notes that because I don't know it or in my head. I always keep it because I want to be synced in my message to make sure that my thoughts in my head, these are my notes, right? That I stay synced with me. So I don't want people to think, oh, he has to have notes to so he knows what to say because the Army told him. No, the Army didn't give me these notes. There you go. That's how you kid, Coach K. No one gave me these notes. These are my notes. These are my thoughts. Whenever I think of something or I heard some stuff today, I took notes today, listening while I'm doing chores for my wife. I took notes. I took notes because I can learn. I can learn at my age, 31 years in the Army, getting ready to go into my 3rd nominative job, which is not a bragging session. It's a point to tell you that I can learn. I can learn about something new every day. So, cool.
Well, that was do y'all have any remarks I want to say to
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay.
First off,
bring it on, Rich.
Sergeant Major, you rock, as you always know. And I just want to hit on that habit piece. There's a book called Atomic Habits, and the way that they define habits in that book, Atomic Habits, is that a habit is a response to a problem in your environment. Let that sink in. So,
okay. Oh, go ahead, Sergeant Major.
No, so are you saying what the book was saying, so that if let's just, and I'm going to be very candid here. So let's say that if you are a white person and you are robbed by a Hispanic person, you're going to form a habit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Like that's what habits come from, things that happen.
Yeah, that makes real good sense. Absolutely. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
So I was just gonna say that I think how you just spoke out about that in front of I don't know how many people are watching or whatever, but we can feel your passion about it. And even, like the same way you pulled those females aside and told them that, like sometimes that kind of stuff is needed. And sometimes it's needed to just be able to say that stuff and to hear it from our leaders. So I'm not even there at Leonardwood, but the fact that you have the courage to say that and kind of, speak up about stuff like that, about diversity and stuff like that, when some people know they have soldiers that are thinking about it and wondering when they're going to speak up, like that kind of stuff makes a difference. And I think I just want to say kudos, because more people need to do that. More people with rank. I know it shouldn't matter, but Sergeant Major, it does. And I think more people with rank need to do that and show your soldiers that you support and that you understand and that you know where they may be, or at least you care to know where they're coming from and what they think.
Well, thanks, Coach K. I really appreciate that. And so since you said that, I'm going to throw this out there. The Army has blessed me with another job for the next 30 months. So I'm going to stick around and continue to do what I do for the Army. If there's anybody watching, if there's anybody that needs someone to talk to, that they don't feel like they trust their unit or they don't trust their NCO, whatever, I'm not going to get into leader business, but I will listen. And if I need to interject, I will interject. Just DM me. I'm on every social media platform, Twitter, Army page, Breck Time broadcast. I'm on everything. You cannot not find James Breckenridge. So if you need something, you please let me know, because I would much rather take your phone call for 5 minutes than you to do something that you don't want to do or shouldn't do, or ain't getting the help that you need to. So, and especially in my next job, it's kind of a big deal. So I would just want to throw that out there and let everybody know.
If you don't mind, would you mind sharing with because I know your next assignment is going to be an awesome assignment, but would you mind sharing with them?
Oh, it's top secret, confidential. No, I'm just joking. No, absolutely. I'm very proud, following the footsteps of many great sergeant majors that filled that position. But I'm going to be the Criminal Investigation Division and the Army Corrections Command Sergeant Major out in Quantico/Crystal City, the Taylor building out there in the Pentagon. So very excited about this opportunity. Not really about the job, right? I mean, I would do any job. You know, if they said, hey, we want you to stay and just drive for the SMA, I would do that. What I love about this is I am going to have another 30 months to try to teach, coach, inspire, mentor, motivate, talk, listen, and do all that stuff that I've been doing for 31 years. I get to continue to do it wearing a uniform. So, man, I'm extremely blessed, and it's all because of so many great soldiers below me that have taken care of me and helped me out, and a lot of great leaders. Now, there's a lot of shitty leaders that I've learned from on how not to treat people, right? And I'm not going to go into those stories because I got a million of them. But I will tell you, I learned from them. I learned from them. I am a product, yes, of my mom's wooden spoon, but I'm also a product of a lot of great leaders and a lot of shitty leaders. And that's in the civilian world and military. It doesn't matter. They're all over the place. But that's what develops us. And so we as NCOs must take that time to invest in our folks, spend that little quality time to teach and coach and mentor and inspire young individuals to want to do what we do. And at the end of the day, if you do that, you're going to make a difference in life. So everybody make a difference to be the difference. Hula?
I think so. Before you go and we give our closing remarks, I want to say one thing I like about you, because I can remember of my 16 years being in the military, I have never met one of my post sergeant majors. Never. And for you to be a installation sergeant major, to come on to a platform and have open dialogue, or just how I heard you say, when the best war, you walked up to these female soldiers, and I see how you do with other soldiers. You'll interview them, and when they had like y'all had some like graduation where you guys was giving out stuff, and like I've never met my post sergeant major. So one thing I like about you is that you're tangible. You're a tangible leader that somebody can walk up to the Fort Leonard Wood command sergeant major, and he can have an open conversation, open dialogue with them. So hats off to you, sergeant major, and congratulations on your next assignment.
Well, thank you very much. And it's easy. Just be an open book, man. I heard a conversation about someone about earlier, which I wasn't too happy, but everybody has their own opinion. He was talking about false accusations, right? Yes, there are there, but they're a small percentage. But let me tell you something. You know how you don't get under investigation? Don't put yourself in that arena, right? D Hicks, you talked about it, right? Yeah. You've been doing this as an NCO Academy. You've never crossed that boundary.
Nope.
You keep that separate, right? There's a distinct line. Military, hey, I'm your sergeant major. No, don't call me this. Don't do this. Hey, I'm not going to take you out for lunch, and dinner. No, don't put yourself in that position. It's professional all the time. I'll give you the love and the care and the compassion, but don't cross that line because it's professional, right? And so I'm going to knock on wood, but I've never been under investigation. Why? Because I don't put myself in that position, right? I try every day when I wake up in the morning, I try to be a great leader, a better person, try to make a difference in somebody's life, because people made a difference in my life. That's why I'm here. Right. Yeah. And from my drill sergeant that I still stay in contact with to this day, they inspired me. They motivated me. They were that figure that I needed in my life to inspire me to be better. And we all need that in our lives. And so that's the kind of leader I want to be. So I'm not saying I'm perfect. Boy, I tell you what, I tell people all the time, I will never, ever say that I'm perfect. But gosh darn it, I wake up every morning trying to be.
Amen. Well, Sergeant Major, I appreciate you being our last guest.
Man,
Close it out
with
a bang. Thank you for coming on.
I would have came on earlier, but man, my laundry list of chores that I got to do before my wife gets home in 20 minutes, I still got to go finish making the bed. It is long, and I got 22 minutes to go finish it. So I love you all. Thanks to you and what you did today, and to all the folks that came on board and talked and spoke out. Nice to meet you, Coach K. Look forward to more dialogues with you. And of course, Rich Green, as always. You know, I tell you, just don't forget us when you become famous, man. I'm telling you, you're going to be the next next talk show. Yeah, that's right. The Rich Green morning show, man. I tell you what, you got that smooth voice and everything. I tell you. And as always, D Hicks, keep doing what you're doing. Love you guys. Take care.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, y'all, what do y'all think, man? Like, shoot, 2 hours and 39 minutes strong. What do y'all think the overall consensus was? How do you think we did?
I think people had a lot to say, and I think it was just refreshing to let everybody get a chance to say what was on their heart and just give that, I don't know, encouragement that I feel like people need right now.
Okay.
I really appreciate being able to be a part of something where people can see that we can come out and have a conversation that's constructive and is not counterproductive, and that will move us in the right direction. Because I felt that like that's what was highlighted today. It wasn't a complaining session. It was just people coming on saying, hey, this is my point of view. This is what I see, and these are things that I would like to see change, and here are some recommendations. So I think the conversation was really productive, and I appreciate being able to be a part of something like that.
Same here.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think my I don't want to really say my fear. My worry is that it was going to go into a gripe session. And once again, like I stated last night on the video, that is not what this was about. This was not to call out the Secretary of the Army or General McConville or Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston. It was a platform that we use to, hopefully they're watching this or they see this and say, okay, we've heard some of the things, just some of the issues. This just is scraping the surface, and we've heard it. Now we have to do some action. We have to do something about it. I'm happy for what we did, what we accomplished. I appreciate everybody respecting my platform and not coming on here, bashing one another. It's okay to disagree, but at the same time, at the end of the day, just treat others with dignity and respect. Treat others with dignity and respect. So I think we accomplished a great thing today, and I think that is going to go a long ways. I think when I took a break and I looked, we were already over like 12,000 people reached. I haven't even, that was like 30 minutes. I don't even know where we at right now, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the both of you all when I asked you all to come on here and help me out and, help me facilitate this and have some discussion. You all didn't hesitate. So from the bottom of my heart, I already know that we're working on that other program. Y'all want to tell them about it?
The Saturday morning sizzler.
So we are working on something called the Saturday Morning Sizzler. These three individuals right here will be the hosts. It's going to be kind of like a breakfast club. It's going to be a podcast that we're trying to do, and we're just going to talk about life events. It'll be separate from Ncopd Live, but it's just going to be a lot about life events. So we're working on that. We're doing some behind the scenes connecting with some people. Dr. Green here got us some people that's trying to work out with us. So we will let you all know a little bit more about that, in the coming week. But nevertheless, as always, if you see something wrong and you fail to do something about it, then you have just created a new standard. And at the end of the day, their issue is never with you, but their issue is with the standard. This is yours truly, #professional SGL, Coach K, and the one and only Richard Green Oz. Y'all have a great weekend and happy 4th of July.